Hey, hello everyone. Another Saturday has arrived and it's awesome to have you here. Synth Geekery, if you're wondering, is this show. It's about synthesizers and we're geeking out about them. It's about all I can tell you. If you find that confusing, see you later. Anyway, we should get stuck into the show, starting with saying hello to the first person who's turned up is Brooksy. How are you, mate?
Oh, forgot about this. Is this on?
Oh, no, I think you're on the webcam, mate. You're on the webcam. Oh, no, it's the webcam.
Is this microphone working?
Yeah.
A sec.
Yeah, redo that. While you're doing that, I'll say good day to the chatties. Over here, hello chatties, everyone. So far, there's only a few people in, but everyone's starting to get used to the sort of new change in time. It happens every 6 months. Guys, stop having daylight savings. You know, what do you want to do? Tap your microphone, Brooksy, if you think it's working. No.
Is that working now?
Oh, do it again. Tap it again. Yes, it's working. Yeah, it's working. Working, yeah. There we go. Let's put you back. We're still waiting for a couple of other guests to arrive, which are our regular people.
Yeah, if you listen, I didn't contact you at all this week to say who's on, who's off, who's taking the back seat after our discussions. So, if there are more people, I am quite willing to say, if what's it? Oh, I've forgotten his name already. Makeshifter, if he's turning up or one of these others, I'm quite happy to jump out and say, yeah, have this slot, just so you know, if it's needed. I won't be precious. Okay.
We will
perhaps need a way of communicating that.
Yeah. So we will be definitely doing that, no problem at all. But this week we're just going to leave it as it is, and then what we'll do is we'll leave a spare seat each week and rotate if need be.
Sounds fine. Absolutely fine.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what the gist of what most people were saying that we'll do. Otherwise, I'm forking out money. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's it. Why you're already forking out enough? So don't. Why more?
Forking. I'm forking enough.
Forking.
How are you, Ian? Nope. Can't hear. Back to the drawing board with that. Let's go back.
Let's put 48 volts on, shall we?
Oh, jeez.
Schoolboy error.
Wow. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm good, yeah. I've upset Korg, but we'll talk about that as we get on.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, no. Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
With their bass.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we'll get to that. Apart from that, I'm good.
I was thinking about putting it in the news, and I thought, it's not really a new product. It's just it's just a paint job. I mean, we're going to put a picture of our house in real estate every time we paint it. It's pretty. We've talked about this before when Yamaha.
It's a nice paint job.
When Yamaha did that with their speakers, and they made this massive announcement, new Yamaha product coming out, and it was wait till November the 3rd, and everyone was waiting, thinking, "Oh, is it a new synth? Is it this?" And it ended up being the HS series speakers with a different color of paint on. Jeez, you buggers. Anyway, hey, marketing worked. Got everyone's attention, didn't it? They won't be doing that again. That's the little boy who cried wolf. That one, isn't it? Have you guys heard that story? The little boy who cried wolf.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Aesop.
Yes. Hopefully Darren's going to turn up, and Andy Synthetic will be here because I did have a quick email with him earlier today. But while we were saying hello to the chatties, and I sort of anyway, we're saying hello to the chatties. Okay, starting with Wagoo. Big hello to you, Mr. Wagoo. And then Robbie Puricelli's there as Failed Muso. If everyone's wondering who that is, he hides. He has a secret nickname. I'm making it public. Bugger him. Walking.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows. Anyway.
Yeah.
Walking Feather Shiny Shards. What a great nickname for YouTube. He's already put his submission in for what he thinks the show topic should be about. We'll talk about that in a sec, though. This is Ranzee. Big hello to you. Martin Taylor, big hello to you. Kent Spong, fantastic to have you, mate. Hope you're doing well. He's one of our channel members too. Always good to have him. Who else we got? Kosh Dukai. Morning, says Kosh. So it must be somewhere US-y. I'd say, if you're saying morning. Possibly. Culture of Ghosts. Makeshifters there. Big hello to Makeshifter. Another one of our channel members. Keith in Watford. Another one of our channel members. Thanks, mate, for joining us. Cole, what have I got? I think it's about said someone else. Corrosive Abuse is there. Geez, and it just scrolled like... It always does it when I'm about to look at who else is there. Roy Strobel's there. Have I missed anyone, Brooksy? You always tell me off for missing people, so I don't think I have.
I'm trying to keep up myself right now.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
So hi, everyone.
Big hello to everyone anyway. So getting used to the show format. For the next 6 months, it's going to be main show starts literally in about 6 minutes. So we have a very quick warm up, and then what we used to call the early show, that noodle and all that sort of stuff, that happens after the main show now. So we're just basically swapping it around. And all it means for me, you guys probably won't care, is I stay up an hour later. So, who cares?
Well, we do care.
Anyway, that's all good. Now, there's going to be a slightly different format to today's show, mainly because this topic is pretty big. And the topic is groove boxes. If you didn't read the title of the video, it should say it there. I just double checked to make sure I actually typed it. So yeah, groove boxes, it's a pretty interesting topic. And I thought, wow, I mean, I'm just going to let the show flow the way it wants to flow because I don't want to control it too much. I think everyone will have favorites and opinions and all that sort of stuff, and we'll definitely tackle that. But I've counted, I think I've got about 16 of them here. That's, I just realized I've got a problem, people. 1-800 phone, Groove Boxes helpline, Group Boxes Anonymous. I'll show you guys some of them, well, most of them anyway. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to plug them all in and play with them. I think there's not enough time to do that in a show. But some of them go way back. And I think it's just interesting to sort of revisit some of the Groove Boxes of earlier days, the digital stuff. Some of the most recent things I've got here, and then we'll probably talk about some of the even more recent stuff that's come out. But on top of the topic of Groovebox, I have an exclusive product release to show you guys. So, and it's not a synth, but it is Eurorack. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. We have talked about it before. And I've actually now got my hot little hands on some of them, and we'll go into that in the news section anyway. So what else? That's probably about it. We don't have a Name That Synth this week because I didn't get a chance to make one. They take a long time to make. No one sent one in, so that's the way that works. We do have Price Watch, Funny Side, and a little bit of news, as I said before. So hopefully that should be a couple of hours of synth talk for Saturdays. What about you guys? Anything you guys want to add before we start? Oh, Makeshifter. You've just kicked Ian off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. And he was about to say something. That's interesting.
Darren. Oh, sorry. So should I duck back out then? Let Ian come back in?
If you could, that'd be good. And,
not a problem.
Yeah, no worries. We might be able to do a shift thing again.
No worries.
Yeah. Cool. So I'll talk to Ian and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I was expecting to jump.
I can drop out if you want. I'll talk to Ian and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I was.
I'll go in now. See you later, guys.
I'm hearing myself.
But yeah, I was.
Is that you, Darren, playing that? Yeah, I think it's Darren playing.
No, I'm innocent. I can drop out if you want.
No, I want you one. You're good. You're good. That's all right, Ian. If you could try and reconnect.
In, Ian.
Sorry, Ian. That was unexpected. He's disconnected, so Ian, you should be able to get back in if you're watching. Here he comes. Hopefully that works. There he is. He's back. And we can't hear you. 48 volts. Is it 48 volts this time? No.
48 volts is still.
Oh, it's working. Yes. Beautiful. Right. All right. You were about to say something.
All I was about to say was, are you covering the Izotope thing from Audiolens?
No, but you can if you like.
Yeah. Well, I've only got a brief thing to say about it, but
Okay. We'll
yeah.
take it on at the end of the news. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, cool. That's great.
Awesome. Andy, Synth Addict is not here yet, so we won't put him in just yet. So he'll be popping in a sec. Darren, jeez. I didn't buy any this week, Darren. Darren, are you getting sponsored? Oh, he's got them.
Yes. Yeah, he's gone for a
I
different
think
flavour.
Darren's getting sponsored by them. What do you think, Brooksy?
Yeah, I think
wish
so.
I
I've got black pepper and sea salt cashew nuts, and they're really, really lovely, but they were quite expensive. But so I'd say these are the healthy option, but apparently cashew nuts really aren't. Apparently cashew nuts are really fattening. So, oh well, bugger that. I'm enjoying them as they are. Well, yes, I think reach out to whoever makes Swiss. Who does it? Who does make Swizzles? I've forgotten.
Same as Parma Violet Swizzles. Yeah.
It's that company.
Swizzle.
It's ought to jump off. Anyway, yeah, you should approach them for sponsorship. You know, they might send you free bags.
So what we'll do is we'll see if we can squeeze Chris back on a little bit later. But that doesn't mean that you have to jump off, because I think Andy, as in Synth Addict, is in a hurry to do something. So he'll come on and he'll say hi, and then we can do a hot desk. But as of next week, what we'll do is we will sort of we'll have a round robin. Unless someone wants to go off, voluntarily, we'll have a round robin, and then we'll set one of the spots as a free spot to come in. And if no one wants to take it, then it's easy. And I think Brooksy, you said
I'm not here.
You were going away, weren't you?
Next week anyway. Yeah, I'm going away. I'm going on to Southampton next week. So
okay. So you can be first,
and the week after that.
Yeah, I'll be first.
And then Darren can be second. There you go. See, it's easy.
Right.
It's easy.
Yeah,
sorted. We got it sorted. Right. I've already run the stinger, so why don't we start by saying hello to everybody in button order. How's that sound for this week? We'll start with Darren because he's not looking.
Good day. I think everything's all right. It's weird, this 1 o'clock at first. It's suddenly, all of a sudden, time seems to run out of time. It's only an hour early, but yeah,
you can handle it.
Oh, only just. Yeah. Did you ask a question, by the way?
I just said, "How's your week been?" The standard question that I ask you every week.
Oh, the standard
for the last 3 years.
Yeah, it might be 4 years now. Yeah, it's been okay this week. It's been okay.
See that hour? It's really thrown him, hasn't it?
Yeah, completely.
Look at him; he's all flustered.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
Your video was out. Saw that.
Oh, last week, yeah. The one
yeah,
with the
great
circuit.
video.
Yeah, the video was. I just had the idea of just doing something with the circuit and that box that I had, and obviously some samples. But all the tune was basically the circuit. So apart from the atmospheric sample of the battle and sort of things like that, everything was a circuit and the box that you didn't quite get to see. But yeah. This week, I've been looking. I realised that there was quite a lot of stuff that I had on the. Well, I won't say back burner. It was in the workings to go out on Bandcamp. So I'm trying to finish something for everyone on Bandcamp coming this year. Because I think I'd listed Echo's album and a few others, but the way it's going, I ain't going to get all them done. So I've got Rave helping me on a mix for the Spirit Guide. Mini album will come out before the end of the year, probably December or just before December. And then something special for anyone who's following me on Bandcamp and have bought anything off me. I've got a special. You'll see that in a bit, in a few weeks. Something special for them. If I can do that the way I want to do it. But you've got to be following me, because someone actually bought something off me, but they're not following me. And I don't think I'll be able to give them this thing that's coming out if they're not following me. So other than that, yeah, so Spirit Guide, mini album sort of it's not an EP because there'll be more than 5 tracks. So yeah, that's coming out very, very soon. And Rave Dave's helping me on one of the mixes for it, so that'll be interesting. And there's yeah, that's about all I've got to say. I'm waffling on. This hour's caught me out.
All right, beautiful. We're going to jump that button and we're going to go straight to Ian.
Hey.
And his name worked too. Hey, things are working this week.
That's brilliant. Yeah. What's my week been? It's been all right, really. Sort of quite longish phone call with Korg yesterday, which we'll get to. I'll keep that as a tease till we get to the Minilogue bass, because it was about that, really. What else have I been doing? I've been preparing. I recorded a video back in the summer when I was doing an EMOM, but never put it out. And it was just a practice run through, but I finally edited that. And I'm going to try and get it out towards the back end of next week. So that's what I've been doing this week. Nothing much else. Bit of business, but it's mainly small stuff at the moment, really. You know, let's face it, the economic crisis is hitting retail. Yeah, but no, a good week overall. Yeah, well, they are, and I don't blame them, actually. You know.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if they're holding on to it. I think they just don't have it because they have to spend it on the bills and stuff. But yeah. We won't go into that.
I did try and get some tickets for a. Do you know Peter Kay is? He's a comedian, an English comedian.
Yep. No, he is.
Yeah.
He's going to tour, and I was there before 10 o'clock this morning, and I was 175,000th. Is that right?
Wow.
In the queue. And I gave up after about half an hour.
What?
Because it wasn't going anywhere fast, really. You know, I could have got tickets for 2024, but that was like 18 months. So I'm thinking I'm not going to buy tickets for a show that's in 18 months' time. You know, so I gave up in the end, really.
Yeah, well, everyone was waiting for him to come back. He's not that far.
Yeah. No, he's doing quite a few nights in Manchester as well.
Yes.
There's
and then isn't he doing the monthly spot at the O2 as well?
Apparently, yeah.
There's a Perth comedian over there at the moment. He's pretty much permanently over there. He's a bit rude. His name is Kevin Bloody Wilson, and he does all these kind of filthy songs with the guitar, like about 4,000 swear words and a couple of real words in between. That's pretty much his act. But lots of people love it for some weird reason. He's pretty funny, and he gets booked out over there in the UK, and he fills up theatres and venues and stuff. So
his name rings a bell. I don't actually know if I've seen him, but the name certainly rings a bell. You know,
he's got a famous song called Dilly Gaff. That's actually an acronym. Does it look like I give a Dilly Gaff?
Yeah.
It's pretty famous, that song, and it went gangbusters during COVID because I think a lot of people felt that way. Brooksy, I'm going to say a big hello to you, mate. How's your week been?
Hello. Not great.
Oh.
No, me and this ongoing illness of possibly long COVID, but basically, because I've basically been snotty and grotty all year, and last week it just was really bad. Again, it went down onto my chest, so I'd have problems with the breathing. Went to the doctor, stuck me back on prednisolone steroid, and signed me off until next Wednesday. So I've been pretty crap. It's rubbish, this. Honestly, since I had COVID in December last year, I've not been right at all. All the other underlying conditions which I have all been worse. And yeah, I'm just getting a bit bored of it. But as I'm on the dose of prednisolone right now, it feels cool. Well, it doesn't last. Last dose tomorrow, so
it must be long COVID. Must be connected.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. I don't have all the usual, because they go through all the questions of that. What do you have headaches? Do you have this? Do you have periods? I do have periods of lack of energy. Definitely do. But it's just that the constant streaming head has just been very boring, actually. So one thing that the prednisolone's done is it stopped that. So I'm not snotty right now. That's a bonus. So one thing I did do is I took some of the obviously the time I'd got this week was with the bitbox, been learning the bitbox a bit more, and was getting to grips with some of the slightly arcane goings on in there. I've actually worked out how to be able to play back samples polyphonically from a
Oh, yeah.
keyboard, because they were all just playing monophonically, and I couldn't work it out. So there's got to be a setting. Could I find it? Could I find the manual was there, but could I get it? And all it was it was basically this idiot. I mean, it was user error. I needed to press the button one more time. That's all it was. And then it went, it's there. And then once you crack it, it's these things are actually, it's quite easy to use, really. It's remarkably easy. So it's a dead good little box. So that's been what I've been. Oh, let me just have a go. I might hear something. That's from the big box.
That sounds cool.
Oh, we got bots. Hammer the bots.
Fantastic. Wow. Sexfind.biz.
Charm.
Go, Brooksy.
Have they all gone?
Yep. Geez, that was quick, wasn't it? They're in, they're out, and they must have found their sex.
I was on it.
Or they found their biz, or they found something.
Yeah.
Right. We said hello to the chatties, so we're going to get stuck straight into the first segment, and bang. And I'm hitting the right buttons this week too. Jeez. Dearie me. Teenage engineering. The beams are out, which just means something might be in the news a bit later. So what should we make next? Something weird. Yeah, something totally weird. Let's swear words out there. Something that won't become an instant meme. This is almost recursion. We could just read that again. Anyway, what else we got? NPC users. You guys always act like you're better than me. Keyboard players, sound designers, drum programmers. Pretty much everyone else. Poor NPC users. I'm an NPC user. There's this one for Brooksy.
That's brilliant.
At one time, that would have been no jump.
Yeah, no,
Every
yeah,
time
or,
you went into a keyboard shop. Oh,
yeah.
With all the overhums.
Yeah, well, just any old synth, but that had a brass patch. But
I was thinking of another sign in there, and maybe it could be when they have because it says sale, right? And I think they've just missed the boat to make that even funnier if it said discount.
Yes.
Right, and is it the last one? I think it might be the last one. I don't know what this is down here. That's it. Memes, people, favourite of the week.
Falls from above. It crashes in front of me.
Teenage.
Come on, anyone get that one?
I can't think of who it is, though. I did get it. I
No.
can't think of who it is.
A piano falls from above. It smashes in front of me. Right, leave it in the chat. Somebody will get it eventually. Sheffield band, but not the one you're thinking of.
Oh, no, you've got it.
Well, there are a few Sheffield bands.
There are. By the way, according to Ken Lewis, that piano cartoon is a Gary Larson cartoon. So there you go.
All right.
And he was pretty decent, or what? I don't know if he was, is, whatever. He's a pretty decent cartoon.
No. Sorry, Robbie, it's not Cabs.
Right,
ballpark. So I'll tell you, it was a song called 4 Hours by Clock DVA, very early Clock DVA. Okay, there you go. Just thought it's quite a famous song, actually.
The thing is, I know the song, but I didn't know who it was that did it. That's probably where I went astray.
I probably don't know the song.
You'd probably know.
I
reckon you'd know if we played it.
You're going to tell me you've never heard of Clock DVA?
Oh no, I have.
Right, okay.
But I've never purchased any of their material.
I wonder if they've been sampled too. I wouldn't be surprised if that's been sampled.
Well, possibly, but they weren't actually that well known in Britain. They were much more famous, much more successful on the continent, particularly
In
Italy
Germany.
and places like
Yeah.
that, in Germany
Yeah.
and Italy. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, Andrew
And
B said
Australia.
I have the 12-inch of that clock DVA track. Yeah. Well, yeah, actually too. But yeah,
Mm.
and it was surprising because their early stuff was very much like a bit like Cabaret Voltaire. It was sort of fairly standard instruments, do things like ring modulators and stuff,
Yeah.
saxophones do ring
Oh,
modulators,
gosh.
and
Love their
then
stuff.
they got gradually more electronic. So
Yeah.
that the stuff of the later 80s and early 90s was proper sort of a industrial electronica. It's really good. A fantastic album called Man Amplified. If anybody can go out and find it, Man Amplified by Clock DVA is a brilliant album. Martin
That-
Ware started off in Clock DVA. Yes, he did. Well,
That
Martin
is
Ware,
the link.
Addy Newton.
Did he?
Martin
That's the
Ware,
link.
Addy Newton.
Yep,
Addy
Martin
Newton was
West.
the guy in Clock DVA, but they were called the Future.
That's it.
They were,
Yeah, Future.
they were called the Future, and then it broke, and Addy Newton went on to form Clock DVA, and Martin Ware went off to do the
Was
Human
it
League
goth
stuff.
music? Walking Further reckons it's goth music. Was it?
It crosses over into that in a way, because it was industrial, really. It was
Okay.
released by Industrial Record, by Throbbing Gristle's label and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I love Throbbing Gristle. I always
Oh
did.
yeah, brilliant.
it's all
Yeah.
it's all part of that scene. It's all part of that
Yeah,
era.
Just think how lucky you are to live in Sheffield and all that stuff is just bubbling around you, mate.
exactly.
All throughout
yeah,
your
yeah,
life.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Anyway,
And then you bump into them in the shops and things.
we do get some
Yeah.
interesting people here in Perth, like Empire of the Sun and I don't know.
Yeah.
Birds of Tokyo. You guys would have heard some of these people, so. But anyway, I am going to go to this because we need to get through this and we need to get into the Groovebox show. Right, first thing, I kind of really just want to talk about this briefly. I think this is a good idea, and I also think this is just a rebranding of algorithms that they already offer. However, it will appeal to a lot of people. Now, if you're wondering what this is Eventide's H90 harmonizer. There's a great video, again, by Lou Populus. He's some fantastic videos. Big shout out to him. What makes this better than the H9 is there's a lot more in it than what the H9 can do. It's much more on the front panel as well, as opposed to just an LED display of the number of the patch that you've selected. That's pretty much all that other one did. But this one gives you more. It gives you control via that sort of stuff. There's multiple ins and multiple outs as well. And there's MIDI control. So the MIDI inputs are on the left and the right. Connectivity is pretty decent on this. So I don't know which video could I probably share? Maybe I might do this one. I was kind of worried about sharing Lupop's video because I definitely think I'll get another YouTube strike if I do that. But let's do this one. That's not the right video. Jeez, sorry. My cut and pasting hasn't worked, and I have to do it manually. There it is.
Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. Today we're checking out an amazingly powerful effects processor from Eventide. Let's get started.
We're not going to do 20 minutes, mate. Right, let's scroll through a few here. So if you haven't worked it out, by the looks of this, you can actually have an A and a B effect going at the same time and mix them. So that means you could have, in this particular case, the shoegazer is weed whacker and black hole combined. What do you guys think of the new H90? I mean, is it all the same old algorithms, or is this kind of not a bad idea? Anyone want to have a start off crack at this one? Price first, I guess.
I've just looked at the price,
$899 US,
which sort of what I went whoa. I mean, I always, the thing I always ask with this sort of stuff is, what is it doing that I can't get from something else that I've already got? And I do the same with synths to some extent, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wouldn't be spending 900 quid on a guitar pedal, even if I was going to use it with synths. I just, you know, I'd rather spend that 900 quid on a synth. You know, I mean, it sounds nice, but you know, I can't see this point in spending that amount of money. Really.
Yeah. It does have an editor as well, which it's right towards the back of the video. I'll just show you. I'm not going to play the video, but that's the editor, and the editor's pretty cool. So depending on what effect that you load, the editor changes. So you get different, you know, knobs and things to tweak in there. So once again, you need a computer to access this. You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Hey, Ian.
What was the effects pedal that Andy bought a few weeks ago? Was it the Microcosm?
Yeah.
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 Now that, I mean, that's half the price of this, isn't it? It's about 500, something like that. But that seemed to me to offer so much. I mean, we've only looked at a few seconds of a video here, really.
Yeah.
But that looked to me to offer so much more creatively than this. But that's you know, like I say, I haven't spent any time with this, or you know, I need to probably look at maybe Lou Pop's video to actually really get to the nuts and bolts of what it will and won't do.
He does kind of talk about it a little bit more from a synthy sort of point of view, which is, you know, probably a good thing to do. Look, what I'll do is I'll load up his video and I won't play it, but
did you get a strike from what? Did you get a strike from one of his videos? Because
no, never from his. Never from his.
No, I'm going to say it's unusual because we're talking about these.
Eventide are known for making.
Sorry. Yep. Keep going.
So I was just going to say the way that YouTube is, because I've used clips from other videos in videos, and providing you're not, you know, using all of their video, then a short clip when we're discussing something like this shouldn't create sort of YouTube strikes.
Yeah, it should be
unless
okay.
Unless it's got copyrighted, you know, song material in it.
Like all of his videos, it is comprehensive, and that's the difference between his videos and some guy just plugging his guitar in and being a prat.
It's a manual, isn't it?
It is, and you can just all you have to do is just along the bottom here, you've got it all already mapped out, and it's, you know, he's a very, very professional YouTuber, this guy. But what I will say is you can see just through there, he's plugging synths into it, right, and he's using it with synths. He talks about the connectivity, which is one of the things that is really, really big on this. He does show the back, but also the MIDI side. Is he going to show that? The MIDI side is important. I think the MIDI's on the side there. Yeah, so that cable on the left is MIDI. Now, the difference between this and the H9 and some of the Eventide other pedals is probably just the sheer amount of stuff it can do. It's, you know, they're kind of, this is probably their, you know, their biggest pedal, and, you know, they're throwing the kitchen sink in there sort of thing.
Yeah.
The question is, why would you need this versus, you know, using VSTs and things like that? The reason is that people will just pick this box up and it's ready to rock and roll. It does multiple effects, which was one of the downfalls of the H9. And the connectivity on this is huge. And I think the way the audio is processed in this pedal as well is actually really high quality. So sometimes people have computers and they don't have a very good sound card, or there's always something that could be a problem in that sort of, I could do this on a computer type sort of going down that route. This is, you kind of know what you're getting. Eventide's algorithms have been around since the late 80s, early 90s, for many, many years. And you're getting them on here. I think $8.99 for some people will seem like a massive spend, and to other people it will seem like a bargain. So it depends on who you are.
I think that's true, Ranzee, to be honest. I think it's not that many years ago when we would have been quite happy to go out and spend £450, £500 on a 19-inch rack mounting unit. I mean, things like the SPX90, things like the Roland SVR thousands and so on. Those reverbs that came out in the 19-inch rack mount format in the 80s and early 90s. I mean, the Quadriverb was what, 450 quid, wasn't it? I mean, that's the equivalent price of this now. But although the Quadriverb sounds great, this is a different league. It's a different level of effects. But we've got used to these things being really cheap. We've got used to high quality effects costing next to nothing. I mean, things like people will say, "Well, hang on a minute, there's that Zoom CDR MS70 CDR pedal, which for the money is just mind-blowingly brilliant." And there are others. So I think it's one of those things you go, yeah, I actually want this because I need that dual path, the double things on it. And we've also got to remember that it's not just for synth players, it's for guitarists too. And they just may want to say, well, actually, if I have one of these, it'll make life so much more convenient in my pedal board, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, $8.99 might seem like a big chunk of cash these days. But I think what you would know is that you're getting something that's really, really good quality. But you've just got, like all these things, you've just got to do your research and find out which one you think is going to suit you best. Certainly things like the Meris and the Microcosm and all those things are great pedals too. And no one's mentioned Strymon yet, of course, have they? It's not cheap to buy a Strymon pedal. Yeah,
exactly.
So a couple of those and you've spent £1,000 anyway.
Yeah, you got it. Well said. Darren, what are your thoughts? You want to add?
Basically, I've got to agree with both Andy and Ian because you have to take your head off. You have to take your mind out of the fact that we haven't got that much money to spend these days. I don't know. Sometimes I need to, actually. We haven't got that much money to spend these days because the last thing I bought was the Microcosm, which is just behind me there, and that was about 430, I think, when I got it. That was right at the beginning of the year before everything went pear-shaped. So I can't sort of say, oh no, I wouldn't spend that much on a pedal because I've spent half on that pedal. And
there's a Strymon next to it.
Eventide, and there's a Strymon next to it, yes. So there's the price of that pedal basically with those two. So yeah, I don't think it's a good pedal, and if you can afford it, and I do like pedals actually. A lot of my music has been created, or at least the idea for the track or the atmospheres or anything like that has been created with them two pedals there, the secret box down there, just by messing about in the studio and coming up with weird ambient sounds or weird melodies. So I quite like the pedals, but at this moment in time, I think coming out at $8.99 or whatever it is you've got to be a bit of an Eventide fan with some money, I think. But like I say, I can't criticize. I can't criticize the pedal price because it's. I would buy pedals like that, but obviously not at this time. It should have come out last year. When you were a little bit late, and when I splashed out, So I think it's just a bit of a time. That's all.
I'm with Ian on the price. I think it's probably their release price, and hopefully it'll drop like a lot of manufacturers do. I think it's a bit of a sting, that price. It does hurt a little bit. I think some people will definitely rush out and do it, and there's always that camp, right? So nothing against those guys, but I think I think I'm in the same camp as you guys. I don't think I'll be rushing out and getting this. I don't think I need it. I mean, like I've got just over my shoulder there, I've got the Strymon Big Sky, and I've got the DD500. I've got Mogafogas, and I've got plenty of stuff, and I can pipe stuff through DAW as well. I don't need to grab a pedal and take it out and perform. So it's not really in my market. I'd love to have it. Someone wanted to give me one. You guys are all the same. If someone gave it to you, you'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. Thanks.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not an item that you say I don't want that.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I really do want the microcosm, but I think it'll be a while. It'll be a couple of years before I can probably, either afford to buy one new or try and pick one up secondhand.
Yeah.
But I do want the microcosm,
We've snuck Chris back
I might
in.
want this after I've seen Lupul's video. So
Just quickly, we've snuck Chris back in. He's sitting over where Andy would normally pop in, and we'll keep him in there until Andy decides to. Chris, I don't know if you're watching, mate. Did you see us talking about the H90, the Eventide H90, or?
I caught a bit of it. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. I might move you a little bit though. Just stay where you are. I might move you. You keep going. Yep.
Yeah, I did see a bit. Of course, I just bought a second modular effects unit. That means that I kind of have, weirdly, the same kind of setup now with two parallel effects. So kind of not really interested in so much the capabilities of it. I can completely see why they're doing it though, because it does make a lot of sense updating their really, quite frankly, ancient user interface. And when you could see what everyone's done with their algorithms, I mean, it's been copied that many times now. It's a bit like Strymon. And, the horse is sort of bolted on, and I think they're basically just playing catch up and trying to get a bit more mileage out of their algorithms. But, they're clever, they'll update them and they'll make them work even better because they've got that inside knowledge as to how they work. So I suspect it's an important marketing thing to do. And you think of all the up and coming generations of musos, they're going to be really into it because it's a bit like, this screen should be standard and extra capability, 2 effects that should be standard. I think it's kind of what people expect now. So I think it's just Eventide pretty much trying to stay ahead of the curve and get a decent mileage out of their algorithms because obviously they have been copied. So they're obviously very good.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, in the chat, anyone let us know in the chat if you've recently bought a H9 Core or Max or one of those H9s because they were being sold. I'm pretty sure they're still being sold. So and then this comes out. Is that something that kind of annoys you? Damn it! I just bought an H9.
I won't give them that. I do think the ins and outs. I think that's a really good idea because it's not. You don't get that often at all on pedals. So I think the ins and outs on this thing are really good, and the way you can combine it. That's good. But like you say, the price at this time of day is probably gonna interrupt some sales. Like you say, it's more likely to come down over the next couple of months.
I hope so. Because
Black Friday's coming, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. But we're hoping that Black Friday. I think. Do you guys remember the Strymon VST that came out, and we all thought 199 for the VST was a bit much. So we're hoping, crossing fingers, that Strymon will drop the price, Cyber Monday or whatever it is that they do for that. So there'll definitely be people going for that. I think if it's dropped. Okay, back to Canoes. Canoes with a K.
Oh dear.
There we go.
Well, there was a meme earlier, and now there's a whole bunch of wooden blocks sitting in front of you on your screen. What's going on over there? Did they legalize drugs over there or something? I'm just getting the website up because it's just I just don't know what these guys are up to.
It's hilarious.
I think they're gorgeous. I think they're absolutely gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
I'm not spending 250 quid on one.
Aren't they cute?
They are, yeah.
So someone's getting the OP1 out right now and thinking, I can make my little wooden choir sing with my OP1, and all the other things that they've bought.
It's just so delightfully crackers. I can't help but love it.
It probably only works with the field though, doesn't it?
They're pre-programmed, right, with classic songs.
All right.
Yes, but yeah, you. I mean, really, what? Yeah, once you've listened to their pre-programmed classic songs.
Actually, they're bigger than I thought they were. I thought they would be. I thought it was quite small.
Yeah, they're reasonable.
Massive.
Yeah. Gently tap the doll on its head. Look, I'll tee up a little vid and we can have a look. You guys have probably seen it already, but
is that when they say smack? Is that when you can't stop it?
If you get sick of these, you can always chuck them in the fire afterwards. Jeez, I don't know if you want to do that with the price you're spending on it though. Look, people buy this stuff. I don't know why. I'm sure someone will tell me. I can't even spell teenage engineering at the moment. That's how bad I am. Someone will tell me that they want one of these, and I'm being horrible and I'm being mean. I shouldn't talk like that about things because I don't understand.
So if you buy the whole set, how much is that going to cost you?
We'll get to price in a sec, but
yeah,
it's pretty expensive. But let's just watch the 55 seconds of wonderfulness here with your OP1.
Searching for controller. Connected to mini controller.
There's the OP1! Go! Because you wouldn't want to have big fingers, would you?
No.
If you're lonely and you haven't got any friends and you've got lots of synths, now you can sit with your wooden friends and make them sing. They're actually shaped rounded just in case you want to put them somewhere else in your body.
Oh no!
Oh my god, who was that voiceover?
You've spelled it now, Rance.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So what I want to know is it being controlled by the OP1?
I don't really know. I actually haven't paid a lot of attention to it. To be honest,
how is it being controlled? All this stuff they're bringing out.
But
I could probably read and find out for you.
No, don't. I mean, it's,
249 euros each is the price, Darren. Rush out and get that, mate. Hey, what else could you do with 249 euros? Christmas is coming, yeah. Gee. They look a little bit like the Russian dolls, but I reckon that would have been cool if you could have stacked them all together and like they all popped out.
Pack one inside the other. Oh no, we're going down the wrong territory.
You could do like a 22 sort of like craftwork thing, just have them all on the, on the stage and just just hide behind.
That would be good.
Yeah,
they're not that big, Darren. Like that.
No, they'd just be on a table, wouldn't they?
All right. Someone in the chat is definitely going to be offended by this. They're going to be throwing their synth at the screen. Yeah, for the lonely
it did sound like the Korg
MiQ.
It does sound like the Korg
2,000 quid OP1 feel.
Yeah. You think they would have had a marimba sound, though, wouldn't you? I mean, at least.
It must be over Wi-Fi then, surely.
Glockenspiel.
Bluetooth.
Have they made a good quality wood?
Couple of sticks.
The woodworking looked quite good.
Yeah,
I am so sorry.
And the photography, of course, was impeccable.
The photography was amazing.
Yeah.
It is a slow news week if you haven't gathered, people. An effects pedal and some wooden things that sing. Is if you're look.
This is the highlights, isn't it?
Maybe it's this week where you just don't buy anything. Keep the credit card in your wallet. Save up for the Cyber Monday and the Black Friday. That's not far away. It was only about 2 weeks away, isn't it, for that stuff? So wait for that. I think there's usually a bit of a lull between now and then anyway. Why don't we, look, chatties funny. Why don't we just get out of that segment? I think it's the best thing to do. Actually, no. I don't want to do this yet. Sorry.
Oh,
I don't want to do this yet. No, I don't want to do this yet.
No.
Replay. Stop.
Right.
We'll come back to
Rewind
that.
it.
Because, Ian, you have got the floor, my friend. There you go.
Thank you very much. Right, okay. First of all, let's talk about Izotope Audiolens. I'm a
I'll get a
big
graphic up for you.
ozone user, and I thought, this, it's nice that Izotope are actually giving away a freebie. So I downloaded it, installed it, which was a nightmare because you have to change all your security protocols on the computer and reboot several times. I didn't read the instructions beforehand. The instructions are that you need to have Ozone 10 or Neutron 4 for this thing to work.
Right.
So what it is the idea of it is that you can actually you can use it to have songs that you actually want to use as part of it. I've forgotten the actual term. My brain's gone to mush.
Reference audio.
Where you sorry.
Reference audio.
Reference, that's the word, reference audio. So the idea is that the reference audio, and I don't use these that often, but if I'm working with somebody, they usually come in with there's a couple of tracks that they want to use as reference points. And the idea is that you can take audio from anywhere on your computer. So if you've got a Spotify or an Apple Music account, you can just take the audio from there. It's limited. It needs a minimum 8 seconds, but it stops after 3.5 minutes of audio. So, and I liked the idea of this, but it's just, it's why doesn't it work with Ozone 9? I haven't upgraded to Ozone 10 because there's no standalone version, and I only use Ozone in standalone, really. I don't want to stick it on in a DAW. So I was, after I'd gone through the rigmarole of installing this damn thing, I just thought it was a waste of an hour, because that's pretty much what it took me from start to finish to install. I have got it on my computer, so, who knows, really. I might try and come up with a way of being able to use it with Ozone 9. If I do, I'll probably do a video on it, but that's for the future. So that was a bit of a disappointment. My other disappointment was I put a video out on the Korg Minilogue bass, which wasn't particularly negative, but I did think that why a Korg, putting the price of what is basically the Minilogue. Let's face it, the Minilogue, when it came out, was a great synth. I always felt when the XD came out that was so much better that I actually pretty much stopped selling the original Minilogue, although it's still available, But Korg, this is not Korg. My relationship is with Korg UK as a retailer, and they are not upset by my video, but Korg USA are. So much so that I had a particularly long conversation with my contacts at Korg, so they're not happy with me at the moment. And some of the information in my video, which I will have to take out, and I'm not going to say what part of it is, but Korg did not tell me that was privileged information that I shouldn't have shared. So I really have had my knuckles wrapped to some extent.
Wow. They really got onto you.
Well, they did, but I mean, there was no argument involved, because the guys I talked to at Korg UK are brilliant, and they were just relaying the information that they needed to tell me, really. But there seemed to be coming out of Korg America, and I may get my knuckles slapped again, because I'm a retailer. I am considered to be always totally positive about the brand. Now, I in the past I have said to Korg directly when I don't like something, I'm going to say that I don't like it. Now, and it's not that I don't like the Minilogue bass. I think it looks interesting. I asked the question about, should it be, you know, almost twice the price of the original Minilogue for what is in effect some presets and a paint job. So, you know, sorry, Korg.
Is it a preset from a paint job?
Ian, you have got my full support, mate, because it's exactly what it
you.
is. It is a
It is.
Minilogue
I mean,
with new presets and a paint job. There is nothing
I mean,
electronically new at all in that. At all. Full stop.
I mean, if you walked, you know, I don't have a bricks and mortar shop anymore; it's online. But if you rang me up and asked me my honest opinion, whatever the product is, I would give you an honest opinion. You know, so, and I've always, you know, for the last 10 years that I've worked in music retail, and before that, you know, when I worked in retail when I was a lot younger, I always felt you have to be honest with the person you're talking to. So, you know, this, and now, you know, a couple of people have already said that they want to order them. I understand if people like it because it's a great paint job and it will look, you know, but it fundamentally isn't. And yes, all right, there's a whole load of new presets, but somebody will sysex them at some point in the future, and they'll be available on the
So
internet.
if you've got a Minilogue and a monologue, then it's completely.
Well, I mean, I'd forgotten because I used to have the original Minilogue back 6 years ago when it first came out, and I thought it was a really great synth. And then I replaced that with an XD and sold it, and I'd forgotten that it had the mono output, which seemed. I mean, this has still got a mono output, which seemed daft to me at the time. I'd completely forgotten about that. You know, I mean, it should be stereo, really. I'd call it a monologue because it's a mono synth, but it isn't. You know, it's so.
Yeah, because I've got monologue.
Yeah, the monologue for 300 quid is great.
I'm being a little bit
it really is
selfish here, but I'm actually checking out.
I think
that's my Minilogue, by the way, and I'm just checking out there's the graphic next, you know, on this screen here. I'm looking at that, and then I'm, you know, I'm basically doing this, and I'm going. I mean, what is the difference here?
When they sent me through the information, which was Tuesday, Wednesday, I emailed them straight back and said, look, thinking, because before I read it, I was thinking, is this a brand new, you know, they've tweaked it, they've done something else to it. And I actually asked them, I said, have you got a review model? Because I'll review it, you know, but there is no point in me reviewing it because it isn't any different, you know.
It's a Minilogue.
So
with new patches.
It's a Minilogue
and a paint job.
Yeah.
But hey, Ian.
But no,
do not worry. I mean, you know, I can't really tell you to not worry about something that's out of my control. But do not worry. In terms of, I think credibility will definitely be on your side, because I think a lot of people that want to buy musical instruments would love to know that the guy behind the counter selling the gear is not going to be like a fanboy of a brand just because he's flogging it because he needs to get rid of stock. And I think that's really important because there's a very big.
I was going to say is my point.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that will.
I mean, I am a fanboy, but not of everything.
Yeah,
you know,
you're a fanboy when it deserves to be a fanboy. Yeah, yep.
And surely that improves the product. If you're selling it to the people, and if you're saying that there's, you know, issues that you don't find particularly good or not good, then surely that's got to be a benefit rather than no, just say it's great no matter what.
Yeah, I would never do that.
So if someone walked into the store, see, are they still selling Minilogues? I don't think they are. They're selling the XL.
Yes, they are. Yeah, okay. It's still on the deep. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Granted, we haven't sold for literally when the first shipment of XDs arrived and I unboxed them and thought, wow, this is. And I just, you know, we sold off at that point because I have to say at that point I did think that the original Minilogue would be discontinued at some point in the future, and we started really to sell them off then.
It's actually one of my favorite synths.
Yeah, yeah,
and for a lot of good reason. It has, it has very good analog electronics in it. Very good.
Obese was saying exactly the same thing.
Listen,
it has a saying.
If you're going to buy a Minilogue, this is probably going to be cool because you might think, hey, that looks awesome. And in that case, there's nothing actually wrong with this synth at all. It's actually amazing. You know, if you don't have a Minilogue, this is probably a good time to go and buy one. I don't know about the price though, but yeah.
No, I mean, and at six, I mean, you're right. The street price will come down a little bit, I think, when they actually are in stores. But, yeah, but whether it comes down to the actual closer to the price, and it is classed as a limited edition, so you know.
That's the thing. But 789 euros. What is that in pounds? Is that
650 pounds?
650 quid. And what is that, about $7.99 US? Is that something like that?
Will be, won't it?
Yeah. I think that's what the Minilogue sold for when they first released it. So I think it's.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I think you're right, Rance.
Oh, it's definitely got cheaper now.
Well,
there's no doubt about it. It's definitely cheaper now.
But
But when they originally launched it, I think that was their original price. If you go back and look.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
It was here in Australia, that's for sure.
Oh, they're over $1,000 here in Australia.
Yeah. I paid over $1,000 for mine.
Just want to give the Minilogue then a new boost of life for next year.
Maybe they've got a heap of that electronics sitting in the factory, and they thought, "Wow, what's a cheap way of getting rid of that?
Yeah,
give it a paint job." It might be. Who knows?
We don't know. Yeah.
So someone in marketing has come up with this idea, right?
I am still currently a Korg retailer, but with
no, you'll be. I think you'll
let's
be
see
fine.
what happens.
I think you'll be.
Let's see what happens in the future.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Now,
no, I'm not. It's just no.
Ian, that's your two things, wasn't it? Sorry, just a.
Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. No, anytime, mate. You can take the floor anytime. Now, there is a new product to be released on this show. It is exclusive. Get excited, people. It is the complete disclosure. I have been given these, so I didn't pay for them. So yes, I am going to be giving them a plug. You know, whether it's a good plug or a bad plug, you're about to find out. But anyway, why don't we go across to Desk Vision, Desk Cam, which is right here. There's my desk. Did you see I did that? That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
I'm going to give myself bonus points because I knew it was going to be those.
Right. So what we're looking at first, this is Feedback Modules. This is a collaboration with a company called CMS Lab that Feedback Modules build this for CMS Lab. So it is a collaboration. I was really chaffing at the bit when I saw these launch. They just slipped them into the modular grid, and I thought, what the hell is this? And so I emailed him, and he said, watch this space. There's something else I want to show you too, so watch this space definitely in a sec. What is it? They are a bus system, so a passive bus. These modules here, so you've got bus 1, bus 2, and bus 3. Okay, and also you've got a second bus 1 here. There, underneath, there's a ribbon cable that connects them all, and the ribbon cables look like this. Right? Obviously, it's not the short one. The short one didn't make it. You can see, right? And that ribbon cable connects the first 4 to the second. See? Completely passive. It's completely passive. So you can connect, you know, for example, I'll use my finger, it's easier. So you can connect something from there to there that is correspond electrically, that's the same, right? All the ones are the same. Now, so what this does is this just gives you kind of plumbing points in your case. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, this is a nifty case, this is a tiny little case. Yeah, it is, and you probably wouldn't want to do it in a little case like this because it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But where it does make a lot of sense is where you've got modules that you want to kind of route maybe from one case or one row to another. So you can start thinking a little bit more creatively. You know, you could put this module here in another row below, and the ribbon cable, as long as the ribbon cable makes it, you can then, you know, bus from one to the other. Now, just as a little demonstration, what I've got a little sort of patch set up for you guys, and I thought I'd use the 2500 modules because the 2500 originally had a nice little matrix, didn't it, when they made those? And I thought this is kind of matrix-like, you know. I'm not talking about Neo and Ozen ones here. So what I've got is gate coming in on 8. So that comes in off a MIDI to CV thing called FH2 from Expert Sleepers. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So gate's coming in on there. And then if you follow number 8, this is little number 8 here, right? If you follow that right across to another number 8, I've gone out of that into the gate on my envelope generator. So when I hit, you should see these lights here. When I hit the keyboard, there you go. So there's my gate. If I take this out, no gate, right? I put that in, gate. Now, if I put that in 7, actually, no, let's not do 7. Let's do another number because 7's being used. If I put that in 2 up here, that will mean that I have to move my gate connection up to 2. See, it's pretty simple stuff, right? Unless you plug the ribbon cables in the wrong way.
Keeping it tidy, isn't it?
It's keeping it tidy. It's matrix light. Now, the bus in the middle is kind of like connectivity sort of branching, like that way, like a wire connectivity, or you can just use it as a mult, as a passive mult, by the way. I don't know whether these guys are going to be doing any active or buffered mults in the future with this idea, but it may be a cool sort of segue for them to think about this anyway. I'll pull these modules out in a minute and you can have a look behind them. This bus 3, a lot of people are thinking, what the hell does that do? And I kind of still am trying to wrap my head around it, so bear with me. I think what it does is it gives you 3 variable outputs, and that switch will just allow you to select what output you want to go to each one of those based on the 8 ribbon cable positions. And I think that's really cool. So that's kind of like, you could have like and I could show you something like this in a minute, like an LFO coming in, right? You might have an LFO coming in on, I'll change our gate back to 8, by the way. We can patch an LFO into number 2 here, and I'll show you. So what we could do is we could patch 2 different LFOs in. We could patch maybe a sine wave LFO and a different waveform into 3. And then what we could do is have A modulating in CV2. What do you reckon about that? That might be a cool little sort of demonstration, I think. So I'm going to need to go from one of my LFOs over here, which hopefully I've got one. I've got a Roland LFO. Right, so we'll go, what do we do? We will go sine wave, or it's more of a triangle wave than anything. So, triangle wave into 2, okay? And hopefully I've got another cable that will reach, because this case is quite a long way away from my eurorack stuff. And I'll go square wave into 3. Okay, I don't think 2 and 3 are being used for anything. No, we're good. Okay, cool. And then what we'll do is we'll use A, okay? And we're going to switch that to 2 there. And we'll put that into CV2 here. Now I can control CV2's modulation with this attenuator here on the filter and on the amp here, right? So we'll just do the filter. Let's see what we can do. Rightio, let's get some noise, people. This is exciting. Control your excited enthusiasm, people. Here we go. Right. Right, so that's no modulation at all, and then we'll bring CV2 in. Right, so it's just... Then we can change that to the other one. There you go. That's how you can route different things just with one output. And I think that is kind of cool. That bus 3 thing is a cool thing indeed. These are relatively inexpensive too, but I should go through the prices for you guys and show you what they are. They're available now through Feedback Modules. By the way, the guys at Feedback Modules, they basically make modules to suit their own musical needs. And that's one of the things that I like about their stuff. It's actually really, really cool. Let's go to the bus stuff here. Sorry, I need to move these cables out of the way. I'm going to press a cable over a button. So you're looking at 29 euros for bus 1, 39 for bus 2, and also for bus 3. So these are the the 3 options you've got. Now, when you click on these, it'll show you that you can buy a long or a short cable. Now, I should say to you that the long cable is probably about 20 centimeters. Does it actually tell us that? Be interesting to know. 2 60 centimeter cables. Okay. Right. So I got given 20 centimeter cables. That's fine. I wonder what the short ones are. The short ones are probably like these tiny little things. Yeah, these ones that I got. Okay. So you may find that you might want to have a cable in between. And don't forget, the other day I was talking about making these. They're actually really, really easy to make. We can go down that rabbit hole in a second if you want to. Anyway, so questions about the bus modules from CMS Labs and Feedback Modules. Anyone?
I was just going to make a comment though, Ranzee. The fact that they need to be connected from the back with these ribbon cables actually means it's really quite difficult to put them in different racks. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So it needs to be all in one. But if you've got a very big rack, it will have
you have a ribbon cable hanging out.
Things.
Yeah.
Other
than that, it's not too bad.
Switching idea is great. It's a really good idea.
I think from the point of view of having like the possibility of it going down, because a lot of people have got euroracks where they've got 3 or 4 rows of eurorack gear, right? And having, routing rows from one row to another through ribbon cable underneath all the modules, you won't even see it. And I think that's kind of the main point of this anyway. I'm kind of keen, like I like this kind of stuff. I'm kind of keen for it to be a little bit more like what an ARP 2500 would do, right? But let's, I'll just show you guys underneath here. We'll just pull one of these out in the middle. I've just turned the power off. You heard it go pop. And I think I might have to actually disconnect these other 2 to do it, but we'll see. We'll see. It might let me pull it out. It might. Yeah, I'm going to need to do this one as well. Right, give me a sec. Pulling cables out. By the way, if you're wondering what these little right-angled patch cables are called, they're called Tendrils. They're a UK company. They're pretty good for looking.
Love my tendrils.
Having things neat.
Loads.
Lots of them.
So underneath, there's the ribbon cables. So you see? So it basically sits right underneath all your, all your power and everything like that. So in that sense, I can't pull that up anymore because there's a limit to cabling here. But yeah, and the standard rule of thumb applies: red stripe to pin 1 with all this stuff, right? So there's that. And because they're passive, see, a lot of people get worried about the passive and buffered stuff. So buffered has its place and passive has its place. Passive stuff is actually very useful. Hey Chris, because you can plug audio into it. And I'm actually using audio in one of them. You guys notice that? So I've got, I'll patch them all back up again so you guys can see. I'm actually using audio in one of the connectors here. So there is the output of the VCA going into bus 1. That's audio. And then that's coming out here into my mixer from there. So
audio shouldn't be too big a problem. It's pitch CV that's always the issue with
pitch CV,
with passive.
Yeah.
When you split it.
Yeah. I can't remember which is which now with these. Anyway, we will sort that out later. I don't need to show this anymore anyway because we're done with that. Now, the next product that they've brought out is, and I think it's much more exciting for feedback modules because it's one of theirs, is this baby here. The Mix module. Now, this module, I don't need to plug it in because it's really pretty basic what it does. And I'm just going to get the website back up so I can show you the page. Here we go. What this is 4 stereo inputs and mixed to a master output. a master stereo output, and you've got the choice between the XLRs. So this would be your main house. So can you imagine someone who is performing live and they've got sub mixers inside their modular gear, right? So they might have mixer number 1, mixer number 2, etc., etc. And they're all attenuated, so you can control the volumes here if you want to. It also has VU meters, LED VU meters for that, and it's also phone monitoring as well. So you can go straight XLR, depending on what type of club or house, front of house that you want to connect to, or it can be the unbalanced. I think they might be unbalanced in that. I'm not sure, but that is a cool thing. I'll show you kind of an example of what they mean by this. So if you go to their main web page, which is here, so you've got the mixer here, the Mix KM, and he's going stereo output of the Mix KM into the first channel of the Mix. Okay, is there a way to get this zoomed in? I think there is. I need to get my Mac keyboard to do this. Sometimes, oh Jesus, sorry.
Don't drop it.
I did. There we go. Here we go. Better for you guys to see. So mixer output there, out left and right, the red cables going into input number 1. And in this particular case, he's using the 1-bit multi-tap delay stereo output. Well, technically it's not a stereo output, it's just 2 taps. And he's going into the second one, left and right there. And then you could literally have, another 2 mixers going in there. In this particular case, he hasn't got anything plugged into the output, so I don't know how he's going to hear it. But not my problem. So yeah, getting back to this one, the Mix BX. What I thought I'd do is if I pop the, if I can get my mouse to come back to me. There we go. I've lost my mouse. Where has my mouse gone? Wow.
It's there on the top of the stairs.
Oh, no.
The mouse with clogs on.
I literally haven't got a mouse on the other computer at the moment. What the hell? Hang on. We're going to have to do something crazy here. I'll stop that. That should give me my mouse. Yeah, I got my mouse back. Okay, that was because I went bang before. I do want to get into our groove boxes very quickly. Right, I'm going to go over here, okay, because I have a Mix BX over there. I've actually got 2 Mix BXs. And what I'm actually doing with my, see that I already did something similar to this. And if that module was around, I probably would have bought it for the exact reason. What I've actually got is I've got a Mix BX there, right? And then down here, I've got another Mix BX there. And then next to the Mix BX is the Roland System 500 mixer, which has 3 or 6, it has 6 inputs, but I'm using them as 3 stereo inputs, right? And the cool thing about the Roland System 500 mixer is that you can CV control panning. It has 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch outputs, and you can actually use them at the same time. It doesn't actually, so I've got the smaller ones here. I'll just go across a bit more so you can see. And that goes into a mixer. So I could put that module there. That would do the same job for me. The only thing that I wouldn't get out of that is the CV controlled panning, but I don't really use it. So in that sense, that saves that. That's a cool little thing. So yeah, if anyone's thinking about it, if you wanted to compare the price of the Roland System 500 module and the Mix, that's probably where you're going to see a difference. So the Mix is 250 euros over here, and there's the Mix. By the way, it is quite a deep module. It's 45 millimeters deep, including the power lead. The power lead kind of just sits flush, depending on what
because of the XLR connectors.
Yeah. So yeah. I'll go to here, so you can see the depth there, right? So there's the power lead there. So quite a deep module, but it actually fits in a nifty case. So it's not that bad. I've seen deeper modules. I think the dope for spring reverb's deeper, to give you an example.
Rants.
Yeah.
Just a sec. I think Synthetic is Andy is looking to get on. He's woken up for the morning.
Yeah.
And he wants to. I think he wouldn't mind getting on and saying a few things.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah. So if you want, you can pop him in here if you want. I can pop out while you.
He doesn't have your
Okay.
your thing though, Darren.
Yeah. Number.
Okay. Chris, do you want to give up your spot? Is that okay?
Yep, that's fine.
Because that way I don't have to give any other numbers. He can just go straight in. Okay.
Easier.
Yep.
He doesn't want to give it up. He's going to battle for it.
Fight.
Yeah.
Next week we'll sort out whose musical chairs is what, because don't forget Ian's not going to be here next week. Right. So you'll be able to pop into Ian's spot next week. No problem.
No worries. All right. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, thanks Chris for popping in.
Yeah, Chris.
No worries. Cheers.
Beautiful.
See you guys.
And Andy will pop in.
Take care, Chris.
See you, mate. So mix, and the two bus things. So it's pretty cool. Some pretty cool products from Feedback Modules. I thought I'd show you guys briefly. Any sort of questions about those? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to chat while I was doing it. Did anyone have any questions about that? Hello, Mr. Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy. I was just going to say I had a look at these modules because I pop on their website quite frequently.
Yeah.
And I have to say my thoughts about the mix was a bit. It's pretty big.
Mixed.
What in terms of width, and do I need XLRs, and do I really need the VU meter thing on it? And I'm thinking, I'm not really sure I do, but I really do understand why.
And you've always do have light.
This is true, but it's. I think it's great in a big system. It's great, but something that big is not going to go into my live rig into this case. It's just not. So
yeah.
But the other little things, those switches, I think that again, it's big system stuff. I think the bigger your system is, the more useful that things like that will be.
That is correct. I've just been fiddling around with the bus system and just seeing. I reckon the more and more I get to play with this, I've had it only for maybe not even a week. And the more I get to play with it, the more I find out things to do. And I probably will make longer ribbon cables for this as well. And it being passive is actually pretty handy. So, now, Andy's joined us, so we'll have a quick hello to him. Before I cross to him, I just want to fix his name up because every time I do that, I get it wrong.
I'll just take whatever name. It's okay.
Let's see if it works. Just give it a second for it to think about it.
Hi, Samantha.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's Andy. And it should work.
Yay!
It doesn't say Samantha Brooksy. It doesn't.
What's up, guys?
You good, mate? You all good?
Yeah, I had some fun with some friends last night and stayed up a little bit too late. So instead of getting up too early, I stayed up too late and got up too early. So it's a wonderful mix. But that's what Saturday's for, is take a nap and I'll be all right. So actually I was pretty tired from last weekend. I was doing getting ready for the hardware jam thing. I wanted to do a modular setup because I wanted to prepare for the resonant frequencies thing I did on Tuesday night. And so after Tuesday night, I was pretty baked because just too many late nights in a row playing with stuff and getting things to work. And yeah, it's good fun though.
You're not getting any younger either.
How was the gig?
It was amazing. I mean, unfortunately, the person who does the video and the live streaming was sick, so they didn't capture anything. So I basically said, well, I'll just live stream it like I always do on my phone, driving around, other dumb stuff. But the movie theater is either like a Faraday cage or they put Wi-Fi jammers in.
Sorry. accidentally hit something.
There was no Wi-Fi to stream with, so I said, well, I'll just prop my phone next to my case, keep me off the screen as much as possible so you don't get my double chin at the terrible angle. And, but I really wanted to capture the screen because Dirty Bill, this video artist who does modular video with LZX modules, had like this like $8,000 rig or whatever, and he does amazing live, basically VJing with video synth. And I said, well, at least I want to get the screen because what he's capturing for everybody is very cool. So most of the video I got was that. Of course, my phone memory was limited because I wasn't prepared to have to record my own. So I only got about 30% of my performance, but I'm going to post it soon. You know when iPhones when the video gets cut off, the video file gets corrupted a little bit. So I'm having to tweak the video file a little bit. It's playable, but it doesn't really. My Mac doesn't like it for some reason. So once I get it tweaked, I'm going to upload it this weekend. So
I've never ever come across that. I didn't know that. I did that.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
VLC will play it, but
once.
Premiere goes, I don't like this file. So
Can you get it? You can get an MP4 repairer thing though, can't you? Through.
I'm actually, I have a few different tricks up my sleeve. I just haven't had a chance to do that part. I tried it once in Premiere. I go, oh, this stupid thing. So I'm just like, I'll post it later. It's okay. No one's rushing to see this little video, so it's
Fantastic. Now, let's get on to the main segment, which is that. It's a weird sound in the background. Groove boxes, because that's probably what everyone has been waiting for, and it's people leaving. Oh my God, he's never talking about groove boxes. What the hell? Throw your synth at the screen and make sounds like
Telling me.
like that.
He never shuts up about them.
Yeah. Now I do have Price Watch as well to do as well, but we'll just get into groove boxes and we'll worry about Price Watch later. I don't think it's going to worry too many people. Like I said to you guys, I have got stacks of groove boxes right here, and Electribes and gosh, I don't really know where to start. Darren, I'll just.
How about one of the granddaddies here of the groove boxes?
Hang on, just one sec. I just wanted to show you this one for Darren because it's dusty as hell too. I haven't even dusted it. It's this one.
Yeah.
Oh, the frozen one.
Yay.
Yeah,
All right.
the frozen one.
So this one's probably this one is not as old because I only bought this one a few years ago, didn't I, Darren? My oldest groove box, which is dusty as hell because it needs a repair, is this. That's my oldest groove box, even though it's actually newer than the one I showed before. It needs a repair. That's why it's dusty.
Yeah, but it's DB though, aren't it?
Yes, I've had that.
The keyboard version of that one.
I've had that since the 90s. That one. So that's how long that's been in the family. But many types of groove boxes.
Well, live.
Newer ones, right?
Yeah. XFM. Yeah.
Newer one. These are more modern, right? And then you could talk about things like Darren, you probably like this.
Ian will as well.
Novation circuit.
Especially green key. Oh, and yeah, Ian's got one as well. I've got Ian's got one.
This would probably be, while we're on groove boxes, right? Hey, Ian. This would probably be the easiest groove box to use. And it doesn't have a screen. It doesn't have it has visual feedback through the pads, but it doesn't have a screen. And once you work out how to use it, it is dead easy to use.
Almost what we wanted. It's simple. It's battery operated.
It is.
Pack it in your back.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
They even took it and put it into a base station 2 and made this. So now you've got an analog groove box. Right? It's digital.
But that wasn't
it's
battery
Can you
operated,
call
was it?
that a groove box, though? Can you really call that a groove box? I mean, I think maybe we're getting on definitions too early, but
I think
for me,
so.
a groove box is a combination of melodic sounds and rhythm
You can make
sounds.
percussion with it, so yes, you can do that.
It technically is a groove box. Yeah, it technically is, but
It's a synth, so you just dial in percussion sounds. So
but I'm probably with Brooksy here, because if we do want to go down the route of definitions, I kind of feel like a groove box needs to have a sequencer. It needs to be multi-part, multi-timbral. It needs to have option of sound generation and sound design, and it also needs to have MIDI connectivity and a clock and all that sort of stuff in it as well. So from a real basic point of view, you should be able to arrange a bunch of sequences in a way that will make a song. That's what the basics of a groove box is. And then on top of that, that should be multi-timbral. So you should be able to have a drum part, a melodic part, whether it's digital or analog, it doesn't really matter. That's, to me, what a groove box is. It ticks a lot of boxes. Like, you think about it, there's a lot of stuff out there that will tick that box. Do you agree, Brooksy, or do you think it's slightly different definition?
No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So if I do this and waft that around and go, that's not a groove box. That's an FM synth. It's a synth, it's a sequencer, but it's not a groove box. I mean, I could pull out the other box, the polka keys. It's not a groove box.
Yeah.
The one that Cress has just mentioned, the T8, the Roland T-8. I would say that is a groove box because it's got drums and synth. So it's limited, but that you put a little groove together on that. That's a groove box.
What about these?
there's a trick with the bass station too, though.
Oh yes.
So this is kind of like, we showed the MC505 before. That was brought out in the late 90s, right? And this was brought out probably in the last 2 or 3 years. This has got...
That's proper high-end one, that though, isn't it?
Yeah. This has probably got a bit of Ableton in it, without copying Ableton, because they're not allowed to. But what this thing can do is insane compared to the MC505. But the technology wasn't there. And more recently, there's these, the Poly-N Play.
Oh, yeah.
So this is definitely a groove box, and it's a really good one. There's some funky stuff in that. I could just keep showing you guys photos of stuff.
So how about my TRS-8?
So I would say that's more a drum machine.
I use it as a drum machine more than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, when they added the FM voice, you can actually do more synthy stuff with it, so you can trick it out.
Yeah.
You mean the TR-8S, don't you? The one that lets you put the samples in.
Yeah.
It's a really good drum machine, but I kind of feel that it's still, personally, hey, you guys can disagree with me, that's fine. No, I feel that it still sits in the drum machine world.
I am using it as a drum machine.
See, I would have probably said a few years ago that an MPC is a drum machine, up until the newer MPCs that have come out now that have got VST synth engines in them, and they actually are multi-timbral and multi-part, and so MPCs, in my opinion, now could be classified in a weird way, but they could be classified as groove boxes. I don't think anyone who's like a real MPC fanboy would like them to be called that, but really they fit that definition.
They get mad if you say that.
Yeah, I know, but they fit the definition. So an Akai Force, which is down here, that's same thing. Technically a groove box, but it's pretty much the same software in it, except it's slightly different to an MPC.
The guys in the chat room were talking about the ARC 96 and the 48, which I would say is a groove box, but
the Zoom things.
I was so glad to. I mean, I had mine for 2 years and couldn't get my head around it.
Did you actually?
I kept coming back to it every. Oh God, yeah.
Andy's got one.
It would sit there for a while, and I would come back to it, and I would start again with it, and I just think I can't get my head around this thing at all. It's just.
What else can
I
show
ended
you
up
guys?
hating it. It was absolutely soul destroying. Compared to when the circuit turned up,
Keep talking in. I'm just showing the stuff.
No, it's fine. Just.
Sorry, Ian, what did you end up hating? I missed it.
Yeah, why did you hate
it? The Zoom ARC 96.
Oh yeah, well they were arcade, weren't they? Weird things. Oh,
it was weird. I mean, I quite like the sort of, the ring that you've sort of waggled around a bit was quite interesting from a performance point of view. But I never ever performed with it.
There's another version of this.
It was just.
there's another version of this, by the way. There's the AN200.
Yeah, I have the DX200.
The DX200, which is the FM version, basically. Both are brilliant. Like, Darren, that's basically an AN1X in a groove box. And it has the AW, what do you call it, Andy? It says AW2 synth engine in it? Or
AWM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
AWM2.
so in there, there's like a little PCM sample drum part, and, you know, it's a bit shitty, but it does, so it does do drums, and it does, you know, it's an AN1X. It's a 5-voice AN1X as opposed to a 10-voice AN1X. And the DX200 is a DX7 with also the AWM synth engine in it. And one of the cool things, have any of you guys got one of these? One of the cool things, I know, Andy, you said you got the DX200, right? Have you ever played with yours?
And the other one too, both of them, yeah.
These have got a really cool performance thing, you know, bunch of stuff here. When you're actually playing your sequence, you can kind of sort of merge between sort of effects, you know, scenes. You've got kind of effect scenes here, and you can merge between them. You can switch straight from one to another, and you can actually blend in between. And then when you actually have the sequence running, you can actually do some really cool sort of step things like pattern repeats, pattern pausing. It's really cool. So there's some really nice techno-y sort of stuff in here, and probably from those, you know, the late 90s, early 2000s.
This is the one they added that does sampling. This is the SU200 that does sampling.
Hold it up.
Wow,
I didn't know they had that.
There.
I wouldn't mind getting my hands on that.
It's basically the little baby of this guy.
The SU10.
The SU700.
Oh, I remember that. Wow. Yeah.
With the, it has the kind of ASCII keys here, and then the pads down here, and a beautiful electroluminescent display kind of thingy. But
it was a bit complex.
The worst encoders on the planet.
Yeah, it was a bit complex too.
So you have to replace them.
Do you have an RM1X? Because that was the other one I was going to mention.
I do, but it's under some other stuff over there.
Yeah, so I used to... So probably... How far back do you want to go? I reckon 2000s, right? Early 2000s. The RM1X was probably one of the most popular groove boxes out there. And a lot of people had them, and they swore by them. In fact, I had one... I got rid of mine because I was more the Roland sort of groove box guy than the Yamaha. But, like, you probably could do more on an RM1X than you could on an MC505. Technically, you could probably do more because it was a bit, the song mode and the arrangement on it was a little bit more featured in that side. So, yeah, but maybe sound generation was probably better on the Yamaha.
These guys are classics.
Is that
classic groove box you can perform with.
They were good.
QI100 Yamaha.
Yamaha, right? Yeah.
Proper tiny rubber keys that are actually polyphonic and velocity sensitive, which is unusual as hell, but they're really fun. This was before I got an iPad, this was my portable little station. I'd have it downtime at work in the server room, or lunchtime in the car, or whatever. Even takes audio input for like a guitar or microphone. You can do processing, kind of like I do on my X station.
Yeah, it doesn't sample though. It just processes.
No, it doesn't do that. Yeah. But hook the little Kenton spin doctor, and you have knobs, and you can tweak your filters and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, it had massive aliasing issues, but it wasn't bad. Because it was only
it's
like...
a product of its time, so...
Yeah, it was only 8-bit, so yeah. The aliasing side of it, not the audio side. What else have we got here? What else could I get?
One of my favorites I forgot to pull out is the Electribe EMX1 and ESX1.
Is that a groove box?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a groove box.
Yeah. There's actually, because now there's actually a synth engine in here, as well as it's a sample manipulator tracker thing. Brooksy, this will be something that will make you smile. This will be something that will make you smile. Hey? Yeah, look at that. Hey, brother.
Yeah. That's the sample you've got there. This is just the ordinary one. This is my Electribe sampler in this format is with Dave Best at
Yeah,
the
Dave
moment.
Best.
So
Yeah.
I've let him have that because he's getting ready to do an EMOM, and he wanted. So I said, use this. I've got borrow this. So he's got that, and he's probably getting on very, very well with it from what I hear. So yeah, that
completely battery operated.
We've talked a lot about the Electrides, the pluses, the minuses, and might even have some batteries in it. Is that
battery operated? Oh, I take them out because they leak. You don't want leaking batteries.
Well, that's a good point. Actually, I should probably take these out.
And of course, this one, which I showed before, is another drum machine / groove box.
You keep flogging that thing, eh? Are you trying to sell that?
No, I actually love it. It's actually kind of heavy too. It's got a big ass battery in it, but it's.
Is it completely rechargeable? Is it?
Yeah, and what groove box does has a mod wheel on one side and a pitch bend wheel on the other side? How cool is that?
That is a pretty cool feature. Yeah. They just needed to fix the firmware. That's all they needed to do. Just fix it. What about this?
What happens?
What about this, people?
Oh yeah.
This is what kind of got me into the idea of doing this for a topic. This is definitely a groove box because it's 4 parts, and you can definitely make percussive sounds of it, and it's analog. So this is actually an analog groove box. And that's a really good question. How many analog groove boxes are out there in terms of the actual engine itself that generates the sound is analog? Don't know how analog that is, by the way, but it has the word analog. Oh, there it is. The word analog is written on there. It's pretty analog.
Yeah, the
MC202 was analog, wasn't it? But that was only monophonic, right?
Yeah, basically.
Basically, it was an SH101, wasn't it? Just with a sequencer.
I think analog ones.
How many are analog? I should go and grab that one over there. Well, Octatrack.
No, can't think of any. That really qualifies as having drums and melodic patterns.
Is that the only one? Because it's possible. I just couldn't think of another one other than the MC202.
Here's one. Akai Rhythm Wolf. I hate to say it, but it's analog drum sounds.
It's got a bass synth on it. It does. You're right. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I even use this one as a groove box because I don't have the keyboard for it.
Oh, M3. It's actually a synthesizer, really. It's an arranger.
It acts like a groove box. So you got Karma, you got rhythms up the wazoo, and it's you can use it like a groove box.
Rhythms up the wazoo.
I tell you what, Andy, you would have had some muscles holding that thing up. They aren't light at all. Those things.
You know what's funny is the beat thing is almost as heavy.
There's another one sitting over there, the Electron Octatrack. It's an 8-part sample player in a sense, but it's properly, and you can definitely arrange tracks and songs. It can also control MIDI with it. You can, you can do 8 audio and 8 MIDI as well, so technically 16. And just below it is the S2400. You can probably just see it just below, which is another one. Have I forgotten?
And while I'm being totally ridiculous, this was a groove box turned into a keyboard. This is the Revolution 309 as a keyboard. It's a Sirius.
You got a big black.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh, the Sirius, yeah. Named after Alan Parsons' project. Guarantee you that's named after Alan Parsons' project.
That makes
Are we looking through a different camera, Andy?
Yeah, what's happening with the big
wire
here? Yeah.
Nah, some stupid wires.
Okay. Professional here.
Yes, this is seat on my pants.
Yeah, I knew you'd be into this, Andy. I knew you would. What else?
Well, this is what I started with before I got a lot of proper stuff. After I got a basic synth and a sampler, I went groovebox crazy. So
I was kind of waiting for Darren to go, oh, here's my groove box.
Yeah, but does a groove box have to be portable? As in,
I don't think so, because a lot of the ones that I showed aren't. Yeah, those Electrobes weren't portable. The early ones, they had to have a power adapter on them.
I don't think being battery powered means. I don't. Oh yeah, they're light enough to carry even if you have to plug it in when you get there. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll do this now. Get this one out of the way. You know, there it is, still here. But this isn't battery powered. You have to use it with a power supply. But you go to EMOMs and these pop up a lot, as do deluges and
Deluge is another one, yeah.
Actually, quite, the polyend ones seem more of those popping up as well. So they all need power supplies, or at least I think what's it called? The deluge may be USB powered. I'm not sure, but you know that's not really all that prohibitive unless you want to play in the middle of a field, which we were talking about the other day. To be honest,
Well, it's not even that bad anyway because you can get your power packs, can't you?
Well,
So I don't add the electricity is a problem.
You could have got that version.
Taking your computer around. Well, I suppose you've got your laptop then. I suppose
flashing the live around. Yeah, well, yeah, that's battery pack. Does that take? That does have a battery pack, doesn't it?
It's literally like there's like a laptop battery inside. You can't change it though, so it recharges through the power thing. And that I actually like this one better than the Live 2 because I don't actually like that thing down the bottom with the speaker. It makes it bigger. I actually like this format. But yeah. So that one's truly battery powered and truly rechargeable. So
here's one from my favorite series, the Command Stations.
What is that?
In glorious purple. This is the MoFat version of the Command Station, MP7.
I've never seen that in my life. Wow.
It's basically what they did is they took it's the Proteus 2500 with an added ribbon and pads. Because the Proteus 2500 is basically this. It goes into a rack.
Yeah.
And they just take the ROMs, all the famous EMU ROMs that are out there. So, but it has the same pad style as the ASR X Pro and ASR X drum machines from Ensoniq.
Yeah.
They kind of took some of the design ideas from that. With these kind of trapezoidal shape buttons or pads. But all these 16 channels at your disposal. Great for MIDI control as well. This thing is crazy. These things are amazing. But not light.
How many groove boxes would you have, Andy? I don't reckon you've actually counted them, but I reckon you have over 20. I reckon you have over 20.
The problem is I have some at my girlfriend's place. I have some here. I have some on a shelf. So if I were more prepared, I'd actually have just an endless amount to show you. But you had a bunch that I was going to show anyway. So that's...
Yeah.
It's
Darren,
a good tag team.
You definitely have some groove boxes. So you have a circuit. Yeah.
What the circuit?
You got the 303. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know
the
what
303.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now. I've only got those actually. So I haven't got that many groove boxes. I've only got the 303 and the circuit. Circuit, as Ian would probably say, is probably it's the most loved one. It's just so simple and small, easy to carry. You can come up with something quite easy. Don't need power, so you don't need to worry about that either. The 303 when I originally got that back in the 90s, that was cool. Except for I seen it at a DJ big conference thing. It was like a music DJ thing in Manchester. And I thought, I've got to get one of them. And I wouldn't say it was the easiest to arrange on with just having a little LED display compared to the circuit, which has no display, and yet it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Now, Darren, while I've got you there, actually, while I've got everyone here, is this a groove box?
No.
It's a sampler.
Brooksy will say no. I know because he doesn't want to call any Volker a groove box.
I say
that one of all of them is. It hovers on the edge because you can do
The sample 2 has a little bit more.
Yeah, the sample 2 has more. Yeah. What do you think, Ian?
I watched somebody. Can I just show you what that on the screen? That Volker, the Volker sampler. I watched a fella, Tom Ward, doing a live set at the Derby EMOM with just the Volca sample. I'm putting the samples in. All as he was doing it, and it was awesome to watch. And it was full beats, full melodies, full bass lines, the lot. And a lot of those, of course, were samples that he'd put into it. So he'd hit a key and you'd get a bass line. You hit another key, you get a little melody bit. But it was great what he was doing. So on that sense, I have to lean onto the side of, well, it's how you choose to use that, isn't it?
And thank God they put the USB connection. I mean, it's the terrible USB connection, but thank God they put the USB connection into it, because doing those loading up samples via that sync in, sync out, well, that was a nightmare.
I think
and
that's
the version
what you have to do.
version I've got is version 1 too, so it's very archaic. What about you, Ian? What sort of, other than the circuit, what else have you got Groovebox wise, or what have you had? Maybe it might have been a had thing.
The only other thing I ever had was the Arc 96.
Zoom,
I don't think I've had any other Groovebox really. As I said before, you know, I mean, me getting into this was, to some extent, a first step. Having such a disastrous time with the Zoom and hating it, I actually, and Inky, bless her, she guided me through what I should buy. We had lots of conversations over Facebook saying, I did wonder about the MPC, but I wanted something simple. I am at the heart of it, I'm a simple chap. I'm
surprised you didn't get.
In this world.
I actually am surprised you didn't get an Electribe.
I've messed around with them in the shop a couple of times. I never really warmed to it. For me, I mean, over the years we've sold enough of them, but it just didn't really. And I almost, it's one of the few Korg apps that I don't have. I don't have the Electribe there because it just didn't click with me really. And I do think with these things, you do have to sort of click with them. Yeah. I mean, actually, what I will say is now, I mean, I keep showing this. You could argue that this is a Groovebox, along with everything else that it will do. If you put the right sort of stuff in it, it will be a Groovebox. So those are my two Grooveboxes.
Okay. All right. What we're going to do now is we've shown and told, what is your favorite Groovebox? It could be that you can't have one. It might be, okay, if you can't have one, let's go with what's the easiest Groovebox you found to use, and maybe what's one that you would love to get that you can't afford or you haven't got yet. Do it that way. But what's your favorite Groovebox? Would be the best question.
Me.
Well, mine's a circuit.
Mine's a circuit. But what I will say is, I actually think at some point I will probably want to get a circuit track.
This is going to be a hard one for me. I think Andy's going to find it hard too. Brooksy, I think you're going to say Electribe.
I'll jump in straight away. Well, it's just dead easy because I mean I don't have many. I've only got the Electribes, so this version. And a bit like Ian was saying, I took to this straight away. It was just so logical, easy to put things together and use it. And you can set your 4-bar pattern and use it in the mutes mode to build up arrangements, and you can tweak the sounds as you're going along. And the synth engine is powerful enough to get interesting sounds. There's a good range of sampled sounds in here too. I think this is a great one. Perhaps a bit dated now. It might need a bit of a look at. But because I got on with it so well, I bought the sample to go alongside it. And the two work brilliantly together, really brilliantly together. But my main problem was that the limitations of it were beginning to restrict. Like I said, when I wanted to use it as the brain of a system, it just couldn't hack it. So,
not enough computing
but still,
power.
a great box. It won't go anywhere. The sample's gone to Dave Best on loan for now. He's making good use of that because obviously my attention has shifted away from that sort of thing over to here. And oddly enough, what I was saying is what I feel like I've done over here is I've built a Groovebox.
You probably have, yeah, with the beat.
And but things that we're looking forward to. It's been mentioned in the chat. The live and sample track is about to drop. it should arrive fairly soon. So I'm really looking forward to that landing. But I've been watching quite a lot of videos on the Poly N Play, and I think that's a really great looking machine. Well, whether I'd want to buy one is a different matter. I've just been watching the videos. So
yeah, Steve's said the same thing as you basically. His modular rig is his Groovebox.
Yeah,
I just had a controversial thought. Is an OP1 a Groovebox?
It sure is.
yes.
It
Yeah,
I've got an OP1.
Yeah.
And I
OPZ
love it.
I
as well.
thought you had it. I said, I
There you
thought
go.
you got an OP1.
I forgot. It sat upstairs, but I completely forgot about it. So yes, I want to change my decision about which I think is my favourite. The OP1 is my favourite, closely followed by the Circuit.
The singing choir.
But
No, sorry.
That's what he's getting it ready for.
I mean, yeah, exactly. The OP1 is the. I mean, actually, last time I went away, I took the Circuit, but the OP1 is the one that I take away. I'm going away next week. I will take the OP1 with me. It always goes away. If I'm going anywhere, I usually would take that with me. You know, I mean, I've had it for. It's a really early one, but and I do love it. I don't use it all the time, but you know, and I do weird things with it, and it's great for all that sort of really experimental stuff. You know, and I like the little 4-track recorder on it as well to create a, you know. So yes, so I have got 2.
Oh, really? Cool. I had to sell mine to pay for the software to run this show, but that's another story for another time. I find this question really hard to answer, and this is why I probably let you guys talk first. And a bunch of guys in chat are answering it. There is, before I answer mine, there is a new Groovebox about to hit here, and a lot of us in chat were talking about it. So it's the new sample track. It's run by the same guys as the XFM. These guys, Sonic. These guys. So the new sample track one that's coming out. I was part of the Kickstarter, so I'm not getting one because of any sort of influencer. That's for sure. Paid for it just like everyone else. My first. One of my first Grooveboxes, my first Groovebox was the MC505. So that one probably stays dear to me for a lot of reasons because I absolutely love. And Darren, you'd probably, if you had an MC505, you'd probably say the same because you've got the 303, but the 505 really.
Yeah, I always wanted the 505. Yeah.
Yeah, it really did deliver a lot of cool stuff that the 303 just was never able to do. And it still holds up today. Like the sounds are starting to sound a little bit a bit digitally, a bit PCM-y, but it's one of my favorites. Probably my favorite Groovebox, just for its simplicity, is the AN200. I love this thing. This is such a cool Groovebox. Like just to do some basic tracks and mucking around, and it's just so cool. Yeah. It's one of my favorites. In terms of modern Grooveboxes, probably the MPC would be mine. Just because it is purely, I mean, like you guys talk about sitting, you know, in a hotel room, or Andy was talking about sitting in his car or a server room. I can take the MPC because it's battery powered. The battery will last me around 5 or 6 hours. It says up to 8, but I haven't pushed it past 5 or 6. And it's got a massive 1 terabyte. I could put bigger. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive in there. I can add more stuff through the SSD. Through the SD card at the back. Yeah, really, really good. It's just really good. I'm sorry, Brooksy, that you didn't get along with yours. I really am, because I really thought you would. But yeah.
Oh, well, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like we're saying, you've got to gel with something, and I just never have.
Yeah.
And it's not for want of trying. You know, I mean, basically, this has been sitting here for a while now, not even switched on. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to sample the Mellotrons, the Selenas, and all those things that were on there, which I loved. I thought they were really great things. A lot of things from the drum synth, and create multis on the bitbox. I think that's the way I'm going to go with that, and then I think this will there's no point hanging on to something that's never going to get switched on. I know Lisa's been doing the lessons and stuff, but I just thought I can't even follow the bloody lesson. It's just me. You've got to get into the heart of something really, really, and enjoy it. And I just don't. Every time I switch it on, it's just frustration. It's just frustrating. Even though it does loads of stuff, it sounds great. I mean, just as I said, when I was just using it as basically like a polysynth, I'm actually quite happy. Oh, this is nice, got lovely sounds. But that's not what it's for.
No. Yeah, you didn't.
But in the meantime, I think
fruit.
obviously my own sort of. So my attention has shifted away. I mean, it's definitely over here. It's definitely in this, and as you can see, it's grown. That's where I think Lisa actually said in the chat room when Andy's found his mojo. Well, yeah, and here it is. It's got wires hanging out of it. That's ticked the boxes for me. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And to think you'd actually
wouldn't want to go anywhere near it.
You didn't have any Eurorack stuff either when I first met you either. So.
No, I didn't. I was
we kept
still using
wanting to get it, and then we said, "Oh, probably best not, because you'll get hooked."
Yeah.
No, I'd always sort of been interested, but yeah, eventually go, yeah, this is me. I've got that. Yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah,
So
I know.
anyway.
Resistance is futile. Although I
We'll
am
talk-
still me
talk about that
along
another
with
time.
Robbie. me and Robbie, we are still resisting.
I would say
I
say to you, keep
there are
resisting.
cracks in your armour, Ian.
I would say
cracks in
keep
your armour,
resisting.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's what this was about. This is sort of, something this really just sort of float my boat, really,
Yeah.
And I love the idea of being able to turn it into anything I like. I mean, I do Max MSP programming from time to time, so converting those programs to pure data shouldn't be that big a job.
Yeah. Yep.
And hopefully they'll do an update and I'll be able to stick my Max MSP patches in. That's the real reason I bought it.
I'll be interested to see how that progresses. That's for sure. Now, one thing that we didn't mention, and we probably should, because it's similar to the MPCs. Well, actually, not really similar to the MPCs. I won't say that. This is a really good groove box. Now, I personally can't gel with it. I've tried, so I'm nothing against it. But there's a lot of people swear by this because the machine workflow has a lot of people hooked. They like the workflow. They like the way the logic works on it, and it really is This is a standalone groove box. The ones that they brought out before were just controllers, but this one is actually a standalone. I think it was very timely that they did bring out a standalone, don't you reckon, Andy? I think it was that they needed to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the major drawback that a lot of people will immediately complain about is the fact that it's only a subset of NI instruments, which is okay, but they only put a quad-core Atom processor in there.
Yeah.
So if you try to load crazy projects straight from your DAW into it,
it just won't
there are
work.
way too many effects at once. It starts to choke. You have to be very clever about how you route effects and stuff, and then it's fine.
Yeah. But there's always, guys, I always find in the world, like when you're reading like Facebook forums and things like that, there's always, the people were doing it with MPCs as well. They were always going, oh, look, it's crap, I crashed it. Or it ran out of memory, or the screen locked up. And you're like, mate, there's no way you're supposed to use that thing like the way you're using it. Like, you're just being, it's like buying a car and redlining it every single day and then whinging 2 weeks down the track that it's,
they're using it as a Mark III with a computer, but there's no computer. So
yeah, well, it's a bit like the Electrobes. The Electrobe 2s were underpowered, like Brooksy was saying before. That's probably their downfall. If Korg had put a bigger processor in those Electrobe 2s at the time, and if they were able to handle more DSP processing, they would have been a lot better. I mean, there's a few other issues with them as well, but we won't go into that. But they would have been a lot better.
I don't know about whether it's DSP processing or what, but I cannot, for the life of me, see what's difficult about fitting a MIDI through, which is one of its biggest drawbacks. That just seemed a major omission, that when I hit a keyboard, on it, I couldn't record from the keyboard and hear the sound on another synth,
huge.
which I
Yeah.
wanted to do.
It
And
was
that
pretty
was a big draw. Oh, you can use merge boxes, you can use splitters, you can. Yes, you can, but I couldn't be asked. You know, I mean, the whole thing is, it should be easy. It always was. The Atari ST managed to do that very, very simply way back in the mid 1980s. So why shouldn't the Korg Electride manage it in the 2000s and 10s for 2013, 2014?
It didn't have
when
a
it came
soft
out?
through mode. There was no soft through.
No soft through. There's nothing at all like that. You can't do
Wow.
it. And it's something that really could easily have been added on a future firmware update, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but
because the
it's never
Keystep
landed.
Pro has a soft through. You can take one of the outs and make it a
Yes.
soft through. So
Yeah.
It does. What was I going to say? We were talking about Arturia the other day, and that's right. When they released the Mini Freak synth, and we thought before they announced what it was, we thought maybe they're going to bring out a groove box. I still think that there'd be a fair bit of love if Arturia brought a groove box out. If they based it with, because they've got some pretty decent sequencing technology in their products, like the Mini Brute 2, the Keystep, the Beat Step Pro, all that sort of stuff. The sequencing technology that they've built over the years is really good. And on top of that, they've got some really good analog synth engines and drum engines.
Drum sounds.
So
The drum brute.
wow,
Yeah, they just
imagine
need to put it all together.
imagine a
Microfreaks.
hybrid Mini Freak, Drum Brute, Mini Brute, all in one groove box. I mean, that would just be
Yes.
that would be flying off the shelves.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah. Now I've lost my keyboard. Not on this particular computer.
So,
You've lost
so
your
real
mouse,
quick,
and now you've lost your keyboard.
Found it. It was over here. Why don't we?
You know what? I wanted to put my vote in for the Machina Plus for my favorite, but my original favorite used to be the Electribe EMX1.
Oh, the
blue metal
EMX one.
finish.
Yeah.
And because it had all the knobbage, it had tons of synth engines in it. It had crazy live control. It had those little tubes in there, so you get the tube warmth, distortion, and they were great little units. Now they were totally AC. You couldn't, plug them into a battery pack that I remember, but because it's been a while since I used mine. But they're so good. I actually had two of them, I think, somewhere. But also, I ended up getting this one around the same time, and I didn't have the ESX1 right away, but I started using the SP404 as the ESX1, and I mapped it to that. So I had my samples coming off of this and the EMX1 driving it. And back when a friend and I used to do some jams and stuff, we had a lot of fun loading crazy samples into this and controlling it with the EMX1 at the same time.
Just pause for a second, Andy, because I don't want it to scroll off the screen. Big thank you to Wagoo for his weekly chuff. Back to Andy.
But so yeah, SP404 and all the versions of it are also really excellent. And I had to bring this one up because Brooksy mentioned it earlier. Everyone loves the Rhythm Wolf, even the piece of crap.
Well, it does qualify, doesn't it? It does qualify.
It does, yeah.
Andy, I don't know if I've told you about this. Probably have. When we talk about a lot of crap on this show. On my website, I actually wrote an article back in 2017 about issues still to be resolved with Electribe. And I can't think if any of these are still... I think they're all still there. Like, voice stealing is still there. The note cutoff on pattern change is still there.
The note stealing is because it's only for voice paraphonic on any one channel.
Yep.
And I don't think that's going to change. So you just have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
So it's not very chordy.
Not very chordy, note. I don't know. The thing about the attack problems, I didn't really care too much about it, but a lot of people said they didn't like the fact that you couldn't do any small minor adjustments to the attack, which seemed to be something to do with operating system lag. So this is where we're talking about the CPU not being powerful enough, and apparently the filter is affected by this the most. So that would probably be annoying. The biggest one for me was having to re-import user samples after a power cycle. If you didn't do that, there was a way that you had to save your project in a certain way. I forget how you call
Yeah.
it now because I haven't touched it for a while.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a boot thing.
Yeah, it's a boot thing. The re-triggering glitch, PCM sounds click when re-triggered. That was something that annoyed the crap out of me.
I think they did address that.
Did they? Okay, so there might have been another firmware.
Yeah,
since
there was an update.
The arpeggiator needed control for up-down random. Like the only way for you to control the arpeggiator was to menu dive. That really annoyed me because I like my arpeggiators. So this is a big one. Most groove boxes suffer from this. Now, can I zoom in on this? I think I can. This. A lot of groove boxes suffer from a lack of that, which really pisses me off. Like, you're making a groove box, wouldn't it be sensible for you to be able to transpose your sequencer based on a MIDI note in, if it doesn't have a keyboard on it, or the actual keyboard itself that's on there? Because that's a huge performance benefit to any groove box, is to be able to transpose based on maybe a root note. You could actually have another sequencer like an MPC sending it a note every 16 bars or something, and that would be super cool. Like, imagine a little electribe Brooksy sitting over on the side and having your MPC firing off a note every 16 bars. That would transpose your whole sequence and everything else being all in tune. That'd be some really cool performance stuff that you could do. See, Roland were the only ones that did that okay. I won't say well, they did that okay with the JDXI. So the JDXI, by the way, would technically be a groove box
It's a groove
as well.
box.
Yeah.
Or are they disqualified if they've got a keyboard attached?
You naughty people.
The last time that
Well, it's like the
Korg
Sirius.
updated,
Go in.
Yeah. The last time that Korg updated the Electride was 2016, so it could certainly do with some love.
Yeah, just bring a firmware update out. I mean, how hard is it?
Yeah, that's because
Some of those things are fixable.
Yeah, because
Work on lots of other things. I just wonder whether they'll listen to the ear
Do a
bending that I
revamp
gave
like
to
they do
Luke
with
and the other guy.
Minilogue.
Yeah, they'll repaint it.
Well, they have done already. They've already done a paint job on it.
Yeah. The blue and the red
grey
ones,
and black, and then they became blue and red.
No, they've got to do this funky sort of drawings, like some 3-year-old kids scribbled on it with a silver marker.
I do think that
Go, Andy.
So I was just going to say, I do think that there is, and I know I've said it, so I'm repeating myself, that there is a market, there is a place for actually an Electribe Pro, an upgraded thing, to compete with things like the MPC-1 and the MC707. If you're combining the best bits of the two Electribe, that we said, with all those things addressed, I think they're onto a winner, because for those people that like that particular workflow, I'd definitely be in there, because I love them.
Well, if Korg don't do it, Arturia are definitely going to do it, aren't they? They are going to be, one of those two companies are going to definitely be bringing probably the next groove box out. I'd be very surprised if they're not. Do they sell? Do the groove boxes still sell? I mean, I certainly still buy them.
Well, the MPC is still selling in loads. The polyends seem to be doing really, really well. The deluges are popping up everywhere.
Deluge is doing well.
Yeah, the groove box concept is alive.
Circuits are doing
they are
really well.
You go to an
the Kai Force does well too.
It's
just
the
Kai Force is just too complicated. I don't use it very often, but it's a great unit.
I don't find it that complicated. But I probably don't use.
If you live in it, it's fine. But if you only use it occasionally, it's kind of a nightmare.
I probably don't use it fully, though, Andy. I use it more just as a clip launcher, as a hardware clip launcher, and it does it really well. Like, it's probably
it does a lot of things well, but it's just so layered and convoluted and menu divey, and So
I stay away from the menu divey.
I have much more fun with Machina Plus.
Yeah, well,
but you.
I don't
You're
like
talking about the Korg Electribe deficiencies. On the EMX1, you had that slider and you had the ribbon, and you could do live transposing with that. So they actually had it in previous products.
Yeah, that was what I wrote in that article. I wrote that there were things in the EMX, the previous Electribe, that Korg had omitted out of the Electribe 2. And there's a lot of people that said, why? Why did you omit stuff out that was actually really, really good features of the previous Electribes?
And live gate control of your arpeggiator, it was amazing box. You know, you could just do so much with that little box.
The gate control.
The problem
was
is
awesome.
each channel was monophonic, so people didn't like that.
But you could send. So even with the original ones, these ones, you could send audio into these, right? Because they had audio input on them, right?
Yeah.
And you could use the sequencer as a transgate on these. It was so cool. And so if this was doing nothing, you could just use this as a transgate processing box, you know?
Yep.
The little
There's
synth
one
engine
that
on that
hasn't
is
been
good.
mentioned, actually.
Which one?
There's one that hasn't been mentioned, which I thought really might be, because at the last Derby EMOM, there was a guy who actually had one in his setup, and that was Andy. You'll like this, and it was just been mentioned by Culture of Ghosts, the Yamaha Tenorion. When he got that setup, I was playing with that, and it was great. It was fabulous. That made me, oh, what a fabulous little box! I've no idea what it's doing, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, the only problem with the Tenorion, I'm a huge fan of it, obviously, but the only problem with it as a groove box is you really have to wrap your head around the workflow of it, because it's just buttons and chord combinations.
Yeah.
And I got it down. It's fine, but it's not approachable as a normal groove box for most people. It's just too crazy, right? But it's very powerful. And even as just a sequencer, if you have a modular and you want to sequence it, you could just use Tenorion just as a sequencer. You don't have to use any sounds at all. So
a lot of guys use the RM1X for the same reason too. They didn't use the internal engine; they used it as
just
an
to control.
external. As it was really good at it. So the sequencer on the ESQ1 synth is actually really quite intuitive as well for its day and age, because it had the that sort of programming ability from the guys that developed that synth, which they were very, very smart people, right? You know.
I was going to ask about the groove box idea and where the line is between groove box and workstation. I mean, if it's got a 5-octave keyboard, it can no longer count as a groove box. So I mentioned that the W30's got a sound engine.
Like the Korg M3.
There's a difference. So, but so there's a difference there. I think as soon as you put a full-size keyboard on one, it's no longer a groove box; it's a workstation, and it's a different sort of beast. So things like the Ensoniq EPS 16 Plus, which ESQ1, all those, they're more like little workstations.
They're workstations,
the old classic Korg M1s. But so that I think the idea that it's a box that you can take away with you.
I think
multiple sounds.
I think you're right. I mean, I've got a few workstations, but my favourite is the little microstation.
Oh
yeah, microstation's a great little.
Is that the thing above your head?
No, it's in a bag in the next room. Because I use it live. I use it at gigs.
Right.
It's that thing above my head. You mean the?
Well, the thing.
You mean that
underneath the 700?
Yeah. No, that's a Micro X. Micro X is a good little synth, but that's a synth as well. That's not a groove. There's no groove box to that.
Now the chatties have been making some good comments, so we should probably not forget about them. So someone, I can't remember who it was, and I do apologise, it's scrolled on past now, but they were talking about Digitact and Digitone and Syntact. So we did mention some of the Electron stuff, but I mean, really, Electron are pretty much a groove box manufacturer, aren't they? That's pretty much their forte. They own that parameter locking. You know, they've got their own way of sequencing, which it's different and it works, and it's. You know,
well, Teenage Engineering stole it for the OPZ, so
they did. Yeah, they did. And where was the Verse Lab was the other one I wanted to mention. The Roland Verse Lab MV1. Because that was probably Roland's attempt at making the ultimate groove box, wasn't it? Where it was kind of like you were saying, Brooksy, where you were kind of almost borderlining going into sort of like a complete studio workstation environment where you're your mixing and mastering and arranging and
But it still fell short of the power of the MPC one or
It
the
did.
MPC, any of the
It did.
MPCs,
It
which was
suffered.
strange that it was limited. But I know, and it was around the same price as an MPC one. It was like 690 quid, wasn't it? And again, it's interesting because I do see them occasionally on like Hardware Jams videos, but I've never seen one at an EMOM yet.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that one doesn't seem to have caught people's attention in the same way.
It might be one
But
of
I'll tell
those
you,
things that come back too. There's products that do that.
Very possibly. Yeah.
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 So on Tuesday night, a guy had a Zero Coast, a Zero Control, and a Strega. That was his whole setup.
Oh, right. That was
A
it.
Strega?
Wow.
Excellent.
Wow.
Approved full-heartedly. Yeah.
Yeah, a Strega.
So it wasn't very tuneful then.
Well, it can be, right? But he was noise music. It was wild.
Yeah.
The Roland still sell. Yeah, this Roland is still selling the MV1, the Verse Lab. I was just double checking that. Probably shouldn't be. I shouldn't be surfing too much internet because at the moment I'm using one internet connection to stream the show, get you guys in on calls, and surf the web while I'm streaming, which is probably not the smartest thing. What I was trying to check on that was, does the Verse Lab have? I can't remember. We did review this product, but does it have CV outputs on the back? I can't remember if it did.
I don't think so. Maybe it
You don't
does.
think so? I'm
Might
trying to
not
find
have
the
room
back.
It
with
certainly
this
didn't
small.
lodge in my head.
Where's the back picture of it? No. Oh, hang on. No, it doesn't. It's USB MIDI DIN lines, yeah, and it was all SD card. Get stuff in via SD card. That's right. Sorry, I was just looking at the website to do it. It pricked my interest because I really like the MC707, and I was always very close at getting one of those. And the only reason why I never got one is because I've got MPC. But the thing that the Verse Lab did that kind of was slightly different to the MC707 was the way that you arrange the tracks and you kind of, it was almost like a clip, like a force in a way. Not really though, but like a force in a way. Probably, Roland tend to do this, don't they? They probably go, oh, well, there's the machine, and there's the Electribe, and there's the MPC, and where's our stuff that we've already made 15 million other products that kind of all overlap about 400,000 times. So we'll make the Verse Lab, and everyone will be scratching their head and going, what the? So it's one of those products. Yeah. That would have been a good marketing.
Well, they had an original Verse Lab product years ago. I think it actually was called Verse Lab or something like that.
They did, yeah. Yeah.
I saw
in old days, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was kind of...
I'm sure the updates will stop for it.
It was kind of one of those clunky sort of Roland things that you had a tiny little screen on it and button inputs.
It had a weird color too compared to the other products. It looked different.
Yeah, I remember it. It is an interesting, if you get a chance to go check out a Verse Lab at a music store, do that, because they have some really interesting things on there that probably aren't the way you expect a Groovebox to do it. Like Future World Machines is saying that it has a very interesting song mode in there, and I do remember seeing that. But the way you build a track and song in Verse Lab, it's different. It's kind of unique, but it would probably work. It kind of reminds me a little bit about like their looper pedals that the Boss do. Is it the MC RC 505 or 550 or something? Yeah. And how you kind of magically they seem to sync in tempo, and you kind of layer. You go from 1 to 2. If you get the 5 pedal version, you can sort of, everything seems to stay in beat. I don't know how it does it because it's a looper pedal, right? But
there's a
clever.
sync in there. You can turn it off. You can audio sync and MIDI sync kind of thing. You can turn them off.
Well, the Verse Lab has got that to a degree. I'm not saying it's got exactly that, but it's got that to a degree in it. So the way you build tracks in the Verse Lab is kind of similar to that, which is different to how you would do it in an MPC, different to how you would do it in an Electribe. Kind of similar
it's powerful,
to a
actually.
machine.
There are a couple of guys in the Hardware Jams challenges that just use Verse Labs, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Now let's while we're doing it, I mean, we're giving Roland a lot of love, but let's talk about the not so well known brands of groove boxes, right? And the Deluge by Synthstrom, New Zealand company, right? That thing is super powerful. And there was a guy, I don't know if he's still there in chat, who is another Australian guy. His name's Andrew. He's got one, and he's been on the show before. You guys know him, the MIDI guy. The Deluge, it's basically a sample player. It is a groove box, but it's a lot of the real people that like that sort of being able to control everything from one box, have a sort of central brain. They swear by the Deluge as a sort of product for that. I'm just getting a photo up for you guys just to remind people, because some people
when
don't
you
know
see
what we're
one
talking
switched on in a darkened room, it is one of the prettiest things ever. The colours of the pads and the lights are really, really not piercing is the wrong word, but they're just really bright and it looks beautiful. They change when the buttons go in and the little. It's a beautiful thing just to watch somebody playing with. It really is great.
They are pretty cool. My internet's really struggling now. Give me a sec. Here he comes. Dropping it in. Hopefully I don't crash the show. Here it is. There's the Synthstrom, people. Just in case you forgot what it looked like.
Look at all those pretty colours.
Yeah. It looks daunting to look at though, because it doesn't have really. It's kind of like the Circuit. It doesn't have a screen. It does have a little LED display there though.
But the new one has. They put a new LCD on the new version.
They have, yeah.
Oh, they have.
Much fancier now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they have, and
too,
you can have your old ones retrofitted. So if you've already bought a Deluge and you want the screen fitting it in, you can have your.
It definitely needed it. It definitely needed it. Screen. Yeah, I'll get a photo of that up so you guys can see. It definitely needed the screen. That was probably my biggest bugbear with it. It's not like you can't use it without the screen. It's just that it definitely needed it. There's the screen there. Sorry. Yeah, that's a definitely good addition to it.
I mean, it's a tiny screen, but it's
a tiny, but it needed it. But it needed it. Even like that compared to the previous one, right? That's what it had before. Just the 7-segment display. But yeah, in terms of not so popular brands, we're talking about the Japanesey sort of brands, the non-Swedish, the mainstreams. Poly and Play is another. We showed that before, right? So this is all digital.
I think we'll see more and more of those.
I think so too.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. That Polyen, I have to say, guys, I mean, I don't know them from a bar of soap. I haven't ever spoken to them. But every single product I have touched that they have made, I have been utterly impressed by. So they made was it the Medusa? There was a collaboration with them and Dreadbox.
Yeah,
that was
Medusa.
That is insanely cool, that product. And it was
before
so
that, they had that modular
experimental.
sequencer that was really cool. With
the modular sequencer.
I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, the great big long thing.
Yeah.
Long with the white pads. That thing was great.
Yeah.
Oh, the sequencer, the SEC. It was called the SEC one.
SEC, that's it. The SEC,
yes, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a guy doing the Buchla thing with that. It was amazing.
Yeah. So
I just like it because it just looked great and well built.
Yeah. Geez, you were loud, Darren. All of a sudden.
Huh? Yeah. I'm probably shouting.
Always shouting at me.
I'm not moved any settings.
No. Always shouting at me. You guys have no idea how much abuse I get from Darren. It's terrible. Like I'm going to have to get
counted. The show goes down.
Yeah.
It's not me.
It's Rave Dave's influence.
Purple fella.
Purple fella.
And Hermod have Aunt Hermod got a groove box.
Yes. Yeah. And Squarp. The Squarp things.
The Squarp is a standalone sequencer.
Squarp, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, is it just a sequencer?
Yeah, but didn't do a groove box.
Yeah. The Hermod is the Eurorack module.
No, sorry, I'm getting confused. Yeah, I've got the Hermod, but didn't Squarp do, because they did a sequencer, but didn't they just release a hat? Or is it just a sequencer?
It's the thing, no, I think you're right. The hat packs. Hat pack.
Yeah,
hat packs, I think is one, yeah.
Hat packs.
Or am I missing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks interesting.
I was just trying to find a bit more information about Polyand as a company because I just haven't had time to even. Someone in the chat will tell us, but they're based in Europe somewhere, aren't they?
X1 was just a
Where are they based?
Sequencer.
Somewhere in Europe.
You're talking about Squarp here?
No, Polyand. Sorry,
Yeah,
I was still on Polyand. I thought it was like Belgium or something. I could be wrong. Anyway, someone will tell me in the chat. They're actually after people to work there. They're growing. So if you know how to program in C++ or if you're like some sort of engineer, they're seeking some people to work there. It'd be a pretty cool job. Like if you're sitting there right now thinking, wouldn't mind. I live in Europe or wherever it is. Software developer, C++, quality assurance engineer, Python developers. It is all computer stuff. So Andy and I would know all about this sort of stuff. I could definitely do the Python stuff. I could definitely do the C++ stuff. Quality assurance engineer. That sounds like kind of what like Ken does at Hydrosynth. What do they call it? ASHAN.
ASM.
ASM. Yeah.
ASM.
So Ken does that. He's sort of like he writes patches. He does product development. Yeah, interesting sort of job. But like just to give you guys an idea of what sort of that job would be, test plans and test designs for products, assess the quality of new features, confirm fixes, regression of performance. So someone who likes getting involved in synths and likes testing stuff out and seeing if they can break them and fix them and come up with ideas, this would be a really cool job. Test public firmware updates, verify hardware releases, manage bug reports. That would be a really cool job, working in a synth company doing that sort of stuff. So
they're from Poland.
Poland. There you go.
Yeah. They're in Olsztyn in Poland.
It's not a bad place to live.
And yeah, you're right. They're advertising loads of jobs.
Definitely not a bad place to live. I'm not going to go for it again. Ken's saying go for it. No, I'm right. But yeah, Poland's a bit far from me. I'd miss the family.
But how about the little blip box thing? It's child friendly, but it's also kind of fun. Jean-Michel Jarre had one on a live stream at Synthplex.
Which is the bit block?
It's good enough. It's good enough for Jean-Michel Jarre. It's good enough for anybody. You see the blip box before?
I don't think that.
Yeah.
Looks like a Fisher Price thing with little knobs and levers.
Oh, with the levers and the. Is that from Polyand?
No, it's a blip box. There was a Kickstarter thing years ago. They have
blip box. All right, yeah.
They have a blip box noir as well, the black one, which is actually the better one.
£600 more.
Andy's product purchasing. What's the word? Grounding sort of recommendation is if Jean-Michel Jarre used it, it's for me.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't afford a VCS3, but I can get a blip box.
They look just like a kid's toy, don't they?
You can just imagine good old Jean-Michel.
They sound pretty cool, actually.
With his arm on the side of the synth, and he's going, "I've just got one of these synthesizers," and probably not doing a good French accent, but you can just imagine trying to sell one of the products. It'll be funny, like just one of those old smoking commercials, from the '80s, the Marlboro or something, in that sort of format, right? Real cheesy. Yeah. Now, so groove boxes. Where do you want to go from here? We've talked about who's our favourite. What do they mean? What's the definition? Where do groove boxes go into the future? Where do they go from here? Are the computers going to gobble them up and we're never going to see them again? Or do you reckon they've got a massive future? Or what do you think, guys?
I think they have a future. I would certainly say they have a future. I mean, it's from a performance point of view. There are so many people out there playing with groove boxes that, I don't think they're going to disappear anytime soon. And rightly so, really, And, there is a movement away from computers, isn't there? Or to put computers in smaller boxes. I mean, let's face it, all of these things, all the things we're talking about, they are computers of a sort.
Oh yeah.
You know, but to move away from a, shall we say, a desktop to something that's easily controllable and you can make, you know, inspirational music on it. You know, so yeah, groove boxes are definitely going to be around. You know, I don't think they're going anywhere.
What
Now,
would
whether
you
we see any radical changes, I'm not so sure now.
What would you like to see in a groove box that you haven't really seen done well or not done at all yet, Ian? Do you think?
Well, it's a good question, actually. They've all got, when you start to really get down to the nuts and bolts of whichever groove box, they've all got limitations. You know, the OP1's got limitations. There are some limitations with circuit and all the rest of them. I'm sure that MPCs and, you know, we've talked about the Electribes. I think really, for me, going forward, it has to be about less menu diving. Because yes, all right, there's a sort of menu diving with the circuit, and you certainly do that a bit with an OP1, but I get sick to death of menu diving on any piece of equipment. I mean, Korg are as bad as anybody else at this, really. You know, having to go through multiple, you know, I mean, you guys that have used MPCs can probably tell me how the menu diving goes with them, but we need to get away from that, really.
The words arse and pain spring to mind.
Arse and pain. Sorry, my tea's arrived. Thanks, Jane.
Hello, Jane. Bye, Jane.
She's
Jane.
gone. Yeah.
Jane, can I
You
have
said
one?
thanks, love. She said thanks.
Yeah, too.
So a nice feature would be,
thing.
you know, the Hydrasynth has those quick buttons for sections that they basically got the idea from the Oberheim expander. That would be awesome to jump around very quickly with quick navigation buttons and laid out in a logical format, so it's kind of linear and you can just jump around real quick without so much menu diving. That would be nice on a groove box.
There's some really, really good suggestions coming in through the chat, which I'm slowly popping up on the screen. Like, for example, Cresshead says, more knobs on groove boxes, please. You know, that could be a thing. I mean, what's the most knobby groove box I've got? The Electribes are pretty knobby. I mean, Electribes are pretty knobby. I don't think there's a lack of knobs on that. There's definitely a lot of knobs on that. There may be not enough, you know, because it could have been a bigger box, but that's pretty knobby for a groove box. But the MCs were really knobby, weren't they, Darren? The MC 505s, 303s, 808s, 909 MC. The MCs are really knobby groove boxes.
EMX had the most knobs.
Yeah, I think like Ian says, though.
Yeah.
I think, like Ian says, just get rid of the menu diving. It's got to be simple.
It's a really good point. Get rid of the menu diving. Yeah. Yeah.
Because on a groove box, that's aimed at sort of being more instant and playing, whether it's in your studio or not. So if you're having a menu dive, you might as well just start doing it on the computer at that point, because the whole of a groove box you lose.
I think we have to come to an agreement worldwide about what actually is classified as menu diving. Like, for example, we were looking at the Mini Freak the other day, right, when it was first announced, and there's definitely lack of menu diving in that because of the way they've implemented the features on that synth, that you can press like an edit button on one of the areas of the synth and the menu automatically appears for you to adjust any of the extra parameters that the menus will allow you to get to. So is that menu diving, or if you have to go through 3 or 4 pages of menus to get to that particular same thing? I
mean,
that's menu
certainly
diving.
The Hydrasynth has that, where you press a button and the menu sort of appears.
Yeah.
And that Korg doesn't do that. I can't talk about the Nautilus because I've not played it enough, but certainly on all of the others, and I've got MicroStation, I've got a Cross 2, and I've got a Kronos here, and all of those, it is multiple menu divings. I mean, and the Cross is the keyboard that I use most live, and I always forget how to do something as simple like just saving favorites. I have to go through multiple menus to do all of that. You know, and it does. I mean, I go back to the sort of the manual, sadly, You know, we talked about manuals, didn't we? But I go back to the manual just to refresh my memory, because there's so many menus that you can't memorize it all. You know, because it's not something you're going to do every day. You know, so yeah, that's got to go. You know, and I have to say, Korg's probably been like that. The Korgs have probably been like that since probably the M1. If I remember, the M1 was quite menu divey.
You haven't really got rid of it.
No.
What I was going to say is predictive menus. You know, similar to the Hydrasynth, but even better than that. Where I mean, look, you're in a hardware ecosystem that's finite. You know what this box does through the four corners of that box, right? You know, you know what it's going to do. So you should be able to develop the menu part of that to be predictive of what you're actually doing. So, like, you know what I mean, Brooksy? Like, you're playing a sequence right now. So there's going to be performance-based menu things that should be sort of predictive to what you're doing. You shouldn't have to dive into something just to be able to, I don't know, change the resonant on a filter or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it should be predictive, because that's a performance-based aspect. Like, one of the things that I don't like about the JDXi is the menu diving on it. It's absolutely shocking. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So if you think Korg is bad, Ian, go check out a JDXi. That wins the prize.
In
They
defense
can take
of
a page
Korg,
from computer programs with context-sensitive menus, though.
Yeah.
They could do that.
yeah.
You can. Yeah.
But they don't.
In Korg's defense, where they put a series of knobs, we're talking about knobs, but knobs with controls that you use, and obviously those parameters can be set on. And I'm thinking back to, you know, what is it? When did they first bring out the Micro Korg? That has that sort of stuff. Actually, the Micro X has as well. So that's something they've stuck with a lot of the, you know,
this is
subsequent models.
This is kind of. This is what I want to show you. This, where you touch something. See, you touch something, and it gives you some sort of indication of where you can go with it. Right? It doesn't have to fill up the whole screen. That's just very. That's not too intrusive. It's not the best implementation I've seen, but that's context based, right? That's contextual based.
I've just thought of something. What about an iPad? Is that a groove box?
No, because it's a computer. It's a computer.
Well, like we said,
There are amazing Groovebox apps for it, but it's not technically.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I've got.
You can check your email on it. It's not a Groovebox. Next thing you know, Akai will bring out a new firmware update. Check your Gmail on your Akai for us.
Then you'll be going like, dope.
I'll be like,
well, I bet you could load I bet you could load some kind of funky OS on a Quantum if you wanted to. So
you probably could. And what was that synth that we saw recently that had the Raspberry Pi in it? That was it the Korg?
It
was the 3 Korg, the Op6 mod
the Op6, So you could probably,
Wave state.
Plug a HDMI screen into that and check your emails while you're playing the Op6. Because I mean, really, it's a PC.
You're talking about
we're going completely on
menu divey.
Not menu
divey
at all.
Menu divey at all, but it's all like chord based. You know, like modifier keys and all this crap. So if you don't, like Ian was saying, if you don't use it for a while, that's why I make cheat sheets for everything. Yeah. Because I don't want to go dig through a manual like every couple months. I just make the cheat sheets. I have little post-it notes or whatever, and I have like quick notes to go boom, 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 and then I'm done. So
yeah.
I had the SP303, and I lived with it for a while, but and then it got sold. You know,
I
did use it live a few times.
I had one of those for about 6 weeks on loan, and I was really wanting to get one, and I just thought, no, before I sort of part. It's not like they're expensive or anything either, but I thought, no, before I part with the cash, I'll just check it out. And I ended up actually, after playing with that, I ended up buying the MPC Live. That was when I bought the MPC Live, and they'd only just come out, and I thought, this is like a gazillion times more featured, and that was back in its like 2017, and that was the early days of MPCs. So the software back then was really quite limited compared to what it is now. So imagine if someone went now to a shop and thought, right, I'm going to get a Groovebox, they're gonna have a massive, huge selection on their hands. I really don't think they're going to go, I need a groove box, show me all the groove box. I think they're going to go there because they've been influenced by something they've seen or YouTube, or maybe they've gone, a mate or whatever, and they're going to go, I want that. And maybe that's what they'll walk out with. But sometimes a store might be able to say, hang on a minute, tell us what you want to do with it. Maybe that's not what you need. Maybe you need something else. Which is, I think, probably a good thing stores could do, is like just double check, make sure, hey, what do you want this for? What's the purpose of this groove box? Because not all groove boxes, we've just proven, not all groove boxes are the same. They all handle things differently. They all have either convoluted or easy workflows, depending on how you look at it. Like, we all have difference in opinions. Like, Brooksy's not get along with his MPC. I never got along with the machine. So, you know, we're all different in that sense. So the person going into the store, I shouldn't say he, because
I just don't get along with any musical gear.
I'll stop it there. You're the one that makes the most music. You're a complete...
Yeah, exactly.
What are you saying? His brain is detached from the other side of his brain.
It's his other personality talking.
I was thinking it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 hours.
Anyone want to add anything else, chatties, before we sort of... I need to quickly do the price watch. We'll tack it on the end, otherwise people will complain. Sorry, there is no Name That Synth this week, people. No one sent one in. So if you don't like it, send one in. I'm not going to make one every week. I make the show. I think that's enough. But yeah, if you want to name that synth, send one in. I did last week. So there you go. Okay. Let's do price watch, and then we'll finish up. So, right at the end, price watch, just to kill everyone's OCD. That's not supposed to be at the end of the show. I don't even know what's going there. Yes, CS50.
Yeah.
According to this, CS50. It's a live auction. Let's have a look at some photos. It's not really an auction, it's a reverb. So, CS50. Who'd get one of these?
It's lovely.
Get the black text. Get the black texture out.
I love the 80, so
Nice.
Turn
The
the
case
5
built in,
into
too.
an 8.
That's cool.
This has got a mod on it, hasn't it? This has definitely got a mod on it. That little sort of
Thing on the left.
thing on the left next to the
Some
power.
modulation
pitch.
thing or something.
Yeah.
so
find out.
does the 50 not have the presets that the 80's got?
Different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different
those
synth
tunnel
engine.
Kented now.
Yeah, he would.
Kent's gone.
Of course he would.
I've probably put him to
Has he?
sleep.
He's probably...
Does it say anything about this having a mod on it though? I'm trying to see in here. It doesn't. Anyway, that's your first one. So 1977 CS50, if you want to get yourself one of those. By the way, none of these are scammy this week, so I just thought I'd forewarn you. These are all rigid edge, if that's a word.
Yeah, it's 4,000 quid. It's probably.
Okay, next one is an Oberheim 2-Voice Pro.
Wow.
This is the 2016, so this is the recent one, right? So this is not a vintage one. 13,000 Australian, what is that, about 7,000 UK British pounds.
How much is it? Because I think they're still making those, aren't they? Isn't Oberheim
They're still selling them. Yep, pretty sure they're still selling them. If I was an Oberheim fan, I'm not really like a massive, huge Oberheim fan, like some people are, and you know, I'd be getting an Oberheim thing now because he's still making stuff and he's in his 80s. You know, it's pretty impressive. He's not going to be around for much longer. Well, I hope he is, but let's be honest, he's not going to. You know, he's probably only got maybe 20 odd years left in him at the most. It's not a horrible thing to say. It's fact, right?
It's reality.
It's true.
It's reality.
It's true. You'll be aware of it.
So that would be a very good reason if you're an Oberheim fan to get something Oberheimy. I'm actually helping him, trying to make some sales for him. Right.
Manny's just said that they were limited editions and are no longer made.
Okay, there you go.
That explains
Thanks,
why
Manny.
it's as expensive as it is. Apart from that, it's a beautiful thing.
10,000, 5,000 pounds for a Jupiter 6. A lot of people swear by the Jupiter 6 sound. They actually say it's better than the Jupiter. I don't know. I don't understand this stuff. By the way, guys, let me just have a quick segue on this, right? Before we'll go back to the Jupiter 6 in a sec. There's a show we did. Brooksy and Darren, you were in this show where we had Ken Flux with it, Pierce on, and I think it was analog versus digital. And we thought, yep, we're going to tackle the most difficult question ever. And we did. We talked about it, and it ended up being a really, really great show where we were literally just the answer was we love both, right? That was, it's like what's the meaning of life question, that was the answer. But one of the really big things that came out of that show, which actually it was that show that spawned this whole idea, is people use the terms like organic or thick or better, or they use all these kind of terms to describe why they like something and why you should go and get it, or why it's better than something else, like it has more fatness, or and Ken was really like big on these terms because he would like, okay, so quantify that for me. Show me on an oscilloscope where the fatness, where's that fatness point on the oscilloscope? You know what I mean? Like, it was quite a really interesting conversation. If you guys want to check it out, it's on my channel. It's it'd be about 100 shows ago. It was a while ago. But on that point, is a Jupiter 6 better than a Jupiter 8? I think it's subjective. Some people would say yes, it is. Some people would say no way. I don't know.
Well, the filter's popular enough for the guy to make the Jove modular for the filter.
Yeah.
But if someone said to me, hey, here's a Jupiter 6, I'd say thank you very much. I'm not going to tell them to pack.
Orbital.
Yeah.
Orbital.
Yeah, exactly.
They still gig with it. They still gig with it, even though it's
archaic.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're at eBay, right? And I haven't shown a Model D for a while. This is a 1975 Model D. So
someone's polished that one a lot, haven't they?
People forget, right? 1975. I wonder in the chat room how many people were actually around in 1975. I was 4 years old, right?
I was
6.
Look at this thing. This was around when I was 4 years old, and it's still cooking. It's still pumping out mono sounds.
It's actually a really good price. It's a really good price. It's not a scat. It's a lot of money
nice
still.
Condition.
It looks in lovely condition. Yeah. Not sure about the polish though.
When you think about this synth, right? It's so basic. It is so basic, but it's actually so complex at the same time. It can do so many things for such a basic little synth. It's pretty incredible. What was the price again? $3,550 US. It is based
3,000 quid.
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's in Bonner Springs in Kansas. Andy, you going to drive down to Kansas?
Yeah, I'll stay away from Kansas, thanks.
Oh,
I don't want to be like Dorothy.
Bonner Springs? Come on.
I have to say, if I was going to buy... If I was going to buy any Moog, it would be a Model D.
That would be beautiful.
I mean, I've only ever used Arturia's soft synth version, which I absolutely loved, and I would love to own a real one. It might probably end up being a Behringer, sadly. If I ever do get around to getting one.
The Rogue I have is pretty nice. It's just much simpler.
That particular one.
I thought Model D would. Sorry.
I was just saying that particular one that we showed has been serviced.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that the Minilogue itself is actually much bigger than you think it is. It's actually
heavy too, very heavy.
It's deep and heavy.
It sits deep.
It's a big thing.
It takes up.
Yeah. It's definitely It's only mini when you compare it to a System 55. That's when it's
Exactly.
mini.
Yeah. It's funny though, because the cars
And he
that
missed-
were
I
around
mean,
in those
it's-
days were tiny. They used to fit those things in those little Datsuns and
The 75 it would still have the tuning issues, wouldn't it?
oh yeah.
It always has.
You know, so
Yeah,
it's still going to go out of tune after about half an hour. You know,
Future
that's why
World
you had-
Machines, yes, there was a Model A, B, and C.
That's why you had
The Model D was only the commercial one. Sorry, Ranz.
No, that's all right. That's
Future
why
World
you had
Machines,
the, and we'll go to the chat so we can show that. That's why you had the A440 thing that you could tune your synth to. That was really handy. Yeah.
I used to use a guitar tuner. I had a Prodigy. No, was it Prodigy? No,
I've got a Korg one.
Moog Prodigy. Yeah, Moog Prodigy.
Yeah.
And I used to use a guitar tuner all the time. You know,
Yeah.
3 times a night, basically before each set.
The tuner that I use the most, I mean, because I move very far from here when I'm doing music, is actually the tuner that's built into Ableton. But if I'm sort of sitting over there playing with a mono synth and it's an analog and it hasn't got any, I actually use the Mordax Data now as a tuner because it's so easy just to go bump, bump, tune it and unplug it. It takes 2 seconds to do it. It's a very handy little thing. And it's just like this little tack-on algorithm that they chucked on that module, which you'd think that you wouldn't use much, but it's actually, I use it probably more than the oscilloscope on there. It's crazy.
Yeah, the O-Tool Plus has that too. It's cool.
Yo-Tool, yeah, it's good. Okay, so let's wrap the show up. We talked about groove boxes. We showed Jupiter 6s and Model Ds and Oberheims and vintage Yamaha CS50s. All of those things were definite possible purchases for any of you guys if you're interested in that sort of stuff.
Can I share one more beauty since no one ever talks about this guy anymore?
I feel bad. I don't talk about him. I don't even know what it is.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
SRX Pro.
You've talked about this before.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see him anywhere. No one ever plays him
No,
anymore.
you don't.
I actually saw George Clinton play one. His band was playing one at the New Year's Eve thing in San Francisco once, but you don't see him anymore. But look at the pads. See the shape of the pads? You can see where the
Chevrons.
thing got their pads from.
Chevron pads.
And the overall layout, the design language is very much early command station. So this, when they became part of EMU, they took this kind of design and tweaked it and made the command station. And this has a DP2 FX processor on board, so it sounds amazing.
Oh, nice.
Needs more knobs,
Great stuff.
Andy.
But
Well,
that was
you know, that's-
that's
Got
in
enough-
Sonic.
got enough-
That was really in Sonic
Yeah.
though. That was
Yeah.
their forte.
Yeah.
Buttons and screens and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough knobbage.
did
But the shocking red, long before Nord, you had this shocking red thing on stages.
Andy,
and
do
it
you
was
know if
just one
Giannis
of
worked
that.
on that? Bob Giannis? Did he work on that?
Not sure. This is right near the end of the Sonic line.
Yeah, that's when he left.
Yeah, the
'cause
ASR10,
they went
ASRX
to
Pro.
EMU. When they went to EMU, he left. Then I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah, and then Creative Labs messed everything up. So
yeah. Anyway, so what we're saying. So we talked about groove boxes. We talked about that sort of stuff. We also showed some new products on this show today. If you guys want just a little fresher, we showed the CMS Labs through feedback modules bus system, which is a passive bus system, which is pretty cool. We also showed the Mix, which can butt onto the end of your eurorack modules, and you could bring a whole bunch of stereo mixes into your mix there. And Teenage Engineering. I mean, jeez, with their wooden things. We got a lot of laughs.
well, they want to
Laughing
compete
for
with
nothing else.
Vocaloid, right? It's their version of Vocaloid. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that was
art.
that was good.
That's what
It's
it
a
is.
slow news week.
Expensive if you buy the lot.
Yeah. So having said all that, and we also showed the H90 from Eventide. What was your favourite thing about this week's show? Starting with you, Darren.
The singing wooden choir. I'm sorry. No, let's start with Darren.
Yeah, I was going to say, being here and the singing wooden choir. Because,
Darren's not influenced at all by anyone else's comments ever.
No.
well, no, because that singing wooden choir.
Oh, what the
Um,
hell was that?
when people get the gift for Christmas, I'm hoping this works. I'm hoping I can just give it out as a gift as well. That will be. How can I put it? You'll think back at that singing wooden choir on one of the tunes. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And have a giggle to yourself.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. What you said. Yeah, I was laughing at Azio Head in chat. Said, "I'm going to collect them all," and then Ken goes, "All that wood."
They made out of walnut and things like that, different woods.
Yeah.
I'll just quickly show you those before it disappears. So we've got proof that's there, recorded on video. Next, Andy, how about yourself? What was your favourite thing about this week's show?
Well, I love group boxes, so it was a good topic. And obviously some of the new stuff. Of course, Teenage Engineering, anything they do, I'm a fan of, even if I laugh at it. So
yeah.
But I actually brought that up on Kent's show the other day because I just got the email right then when they released it, and I was like, oh my god, I got to share this with the guys. But,
it is crazy.
Group boxes for the win. So
group boxes for the win. Ian, how about yourself?
Well, hanging out with chums, I think. Our chatty chums and chums on screen. But actually, I have to say, the biggest laugh of the week is the choir.
It is, isn't it? It's brilliant.
It's just it's so naff that it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if that wasn't there, we'd be laughing pretty much just as loud about the Minilogue. I mean, that's a pretty big laugh.
I couldn't say.
Damn it! I was trying to set him up.
I need to watch myself. You may comment, I may not.
Oh, you're being very, very careful, aren't you?
Clearly, I'm going to be censored in future by Korg. Oh, well, that's never going to happen, is it?
Nah, don't get censored. Bugger that. Yeah.
I love you, Korg. If you ever watch this,
just stop painting stuff. Make something new.
Yeah, stop
Brooksy.
painting stuff and do some new.
How about you, mate?
Yes. Yeah, well, I said it. I have to say, I just think it's so delightfully ridiculous that I have to applaud them for obviously investing an awful lot of time and money into something totally ridiculous. But I'm telling you that there'll be a cult following for these. There'll be people that go, oh yeah, and they'll become extraordinarily collectible. I can see it because I think they're beautiful looking things. I think they're amazing looking, just objet d'art. Oh, get me. Yeah, I think they're fantastic. I mean, look at them. And I don't know, it's just daft. But I liked, I actually quite have to say, I like the Korg Minilogue. I think the look of it is ace. I think it looks fantastic. My problem is that it's just a Minilogue and nothing else, and it's just had a paint job and a new keyboard on it. And charging a big chunk is... It just seems a bit cynical, and I think that's where people are going to struggle with it. But I dare say there'll be plenty of people who buy them because they may become very collectible in themselves, a bit like these wooden dolls.
Well, they might do.
It's cachet, man. All the cool kids want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to
It
know,
makes a
like the
difference.
meme at the beginning of the on the funny side. I'd love to know what when they were all sat around thinking of who come up with the idea for the choir. So what's your idea?
Where do you come up with that? Yeah.
Guess that's what Darren's talking about.
That is it.
See, you guys did. I mean, I guess you probably worked out by that at that stage when I showed that meme that we're going to be showing something Teenage Engineering, right?
Yeah. We'll just wait till they hack them and make them say rude things and all that. So.
But I when I'm putting the show together, like I'm sitting here on my own in this room and I'm laughing out loud. And I could not stop laughing, and people were coming in and going, "What are you laughing at?" And I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. You won't understand." But that was me. Yes. Well, thank you everyone for having a lovely time with you and being part of this lovely show. Ian, it's sad that you're not going to be here next week, but I know you're doing something good anyway, so that's cool.
Family get together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 2 weeks.
We'll put Chris in your spot or someone. So I've got a few people knocking on the door that want to come in, and so we'll start doing the round robin chairs. Maybe someone can take my spot for a week. That'd be cool. All right. On that note, wishing all the chatties a fantastic week. Please make sure you press record and do something musical, and at the very least, just press record. You never know, you might like it. It's weird sometimes you do that. You think it sounds like crap, and then the next day you wake up and listen to it again, it sounds good. Who knows? If that's you, it's probably me. Everything I do sounds like crap. Anyway, peace everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're going to say goodbye. See you later.
Everyone.
Bye, everybody. Bye, guys.